The President of the United States, Gavin Newsom, admitted that he has...
Gavin Newsom is the President of the United States now? Really? When did this happen?
Learning disabilities, dyslexia.
He's got what? Hold on.
Admitted that he has learning disabilities, dyslexia.
Okay.
Everything about him is dumb.
He's dumb.
But then he looked at the audience and said, "What, I'm smarter than you," or something like that. There was the President of the United States, Gavin Newsom, admitted that he has learning disabilities, dyslexia.
It's pretty incredible to be sitting here trying to say that somebody else has learning disabilities as you get the President of the United States wrong. Now, it would be very bad for an average person to get the President of the United States wrong, because, you know, that's something that's like one of the first things they ask you, just to make sure that you don't have brain damage. Just an average person, people that are not the president, that's something that your average person should know, and they're tested to make sure they don't have brain damage by asking them that question. But the President of the United States of America got the President of the United States of America wrong, and then continues to say that this other guy, who's not the President of the United States, is actually got learning disabilities and is very dumb. I feel like if The Office did a bit like this, they'd be like, hold on, man, come on. Michael Scott can't be that stupid, all right? He's not Joey Tribbiani here, okay? Let's just, just bring it down a bit, all right? Not being believable. Holy shit, we live in the craziest timeline. One more time. Let's watch that. One more time for the folks that just got here. Unbelievable. This is just fascinating how stupid our reality is.
The President of the United States, Gavin Newsom, admitted that he has learning disabilities, dyslexia. Everything about him is dumb. But then he looked at the audience and said,
I love how he started like he's going to do a list. He's got dyslexia. He's got everything about him is dumb, as he can't think of a second learning disability. That's it. He's got one that he can come up with on the fly. My God.
"But I'm smarter than you," or something like that. There was
he said something. I'm not even really sure what I'm saying, Carol. But he said, "I'm smarter than you." Yeah, you've never done anything that narcissistic or belligerent or ignorant, for that matter. Yeah, only Gavin Newsom, who, keep in mind, I don't like Gavin Newsom, but he's like, but I mean, like, Trump is like millions of times worse than that guy. But it's kind of funny too, because now, if you check this out, he's actually trolling Trump, which that's like one thing I gotta say for Gavin Newsom. He's actually pretty good at trolling. Oh, damn. I just want to say, oh, maybe this is some other, never mind. I thought that it was, because you see, like, is it President Newsom? And it, like, came up as, like, and I thought maybe he had changed his handle to President Newsom. But I guess I was wrong. See, yeah, there it is. Anyway, where'd it go? Did he already change it back? Dude, I just saw that. That is so weird. Anyway, it was like that, but President Newsom, but it was like an actual account. It looked like it was his account. Anyway, so we got this. So we got this genius, really, a darling of the right. What is going on? Yeah, he's a darling of the right at the moment, it seems. And his name is weird. Nick Shirley, right? And the reason he's a darling of the right was he was the one that kickstarted the basically the surge that happened in Minnesota, where all of the ICE agents and everything just completely overran, that city, because of this little Mormon idiot that is just, I mean, he like looks and sounds like he's either like a product of incest or he was like severely like got some severe brain damage. Because that's just the way he looks, the way he talks. I mean, it's just wow, it's crazy. So he did this video of fraud in Minnesota, right? And it was just full of bullshit. Like he was just too stupid to recognize that, like, that maybe he was too stupid. I don't know. People are saying that he's just a liar. I don't know. I kind of think he's literally just too stupid to recognize that he's stupid. So when he's thinking that he's doing this investigative reporting by like going up to what are they called? Like daycare centers or whatever. Of course, they were all like owned by immigrants or whatever, or ran by immigrants. He would go up to these daycare centers and knock on the door, and if people didn't let him in, he would say that they're not a real business, that they were just stealing money from the government by taking subsidies and grants and funding and all that, and then not providing a service. And so they would just there were just these empty, according to him, there were just these empty buildings that were supposedly daycare centers. Now he went up to all these places when they weren't even open, of course, but he was too dumb to even check on that. And so, but he's back, and he's he's trying to do it again because he got so much success the first time, which he really did. He got like a ton of success, and his arguments were just idiotic. They were terrible. He was literally just shaking a piece of paper around, going, "This paper says there's millions of dollars in fraud here," and then went around and tried to knock on doors that nobody was there. That was like the extent to the quote unquote evidence that he provided for all the fraud. But that video went out like virally, like it got totally viral, went out to unbelievable levels. Was one of the highest viewed videos of all time on YouTube or something like that, which makes me think, honestly, that there was some kind of, he was working with somebody that was boosting them out there so that they could do this. Because immediately after that video went out, that was when they did Project Metro Surge and sent all of the ICE agents to Minnesota, which we know led to the deaths of 2 American citizens, and I'm sure and just tons of innocent people being detained and mistreated and everything else. He's back. And this time he decided he's going to go for California. And yeah, so let's watch. He's got the new video. I haven't watched this one like at all. I think I got like a minute and a half, not even a couple of minutes into it. But yeah, we'll check this out. I kind of, because I also don't want to do the Channel 5 interview as well. But let's check out some of what he's got here. I don't know if we're going to cover the whole thing if it's super boring. But like, I am investigated, Californians suspected photo fraud. That's how he talks.
Voting, it leaves room for fraud to occur. Just take millions of ballots are cast by
Can you see my? I said I want.
I just want to make sure you're not 126 years old.
No, I'm not.
And do you think it's possible like illegal migrants could be voting?
Not really.
Do you know where the ballots might have gone? like for 108 people, that were registered here.
When it comes to fraud, most people think about money. However, there's another potential massive fraud story taking place in America, one tied to the most consequential system in our country, which is our voting system. This has to do with everything about who runs the country and how elections are actually controlled. And if we don't have voter integrity, what even are we? And
What was that sentence? Hold on. I gotta do that again. It was like he tried to like jam a whole nother thought in there or something.
another potential massive fraud story taking place in America, one tied to the most consequential system in our country, which is our voting system. This has to do with everything about who runs the country and how elections are actually controlled.
It's who it's just the way you talk. It's like a toddler is writing this video, dude. Like AI would have done a better job, I think, writing this out.
And if we don't have voter integrity, what even are we?
If we don't have voter integrity, what even are we? We're nothing.
And there's one state that is the breeding ground for potential voting fraud, and that is California, where it can take up to 1 month to count all of the votes, no voter ID, and millions of ballots are cast by mail. And with voter rolls that are
all very normal things that he just described there, it's crazy that he's acting like all those things are totally insane, given that that is how most states had been doing it up until fairly recently, where Trump was trying to make it, trying to lie about the election being stolen so that he could steal the election. That seems to be his main modus operandi, actually.
Extremely vulnerable to errors, such as over 200 people who are over the age of 125 years old registered to vote in certain areas.
Lizzie said registered to vote. Yeah, they were registered to vote. That doesn't mean they are registered and are voting. You fucking idiot. Holy shit. We go over this every goddamn time they do this. Where's dead people registered to vote? Yeah, dude, because they stay in the records. The records just don't automatically disappear the second that they pass away, dude. Holy shit.
And now to see how easy it is to vote, I headed to the location to register to vote inside the state of California. Now, this is the register of voters right here. And I want to ask him, why don't you need voter ID to vote here inside of California? I was curious, how come in California you don't need?
Because it's the law, man. Because that's the law. The law says you don't need it. And that was ubiquitous, basically, up until just fucking recently.
Voter ID to vote.
Because when you sign your affidavit, you're swearing that you're telling us the truth, and we compare the signature that you put on your application.
Battery 65%.
Mm-hmm.
Battery 65. Charge your thing, man. You got the battery interrupting your professional ass YouTube video. Over 1 million subscribers this guy's got, and yet you can't. He's got the battery chiming in.
Do you think it leaves any room for error with voter ID, or? Yeah,
you'd have to oh my God. Do you know how difficult it would be to try to do what they're saying, and do this voter fraud, and show up as somebody else when you you just got actually think about everything that would have to go in to doing this voter fraud. It means that you would have to know that somebody was registered to vote, but then wasn't going to vote, because if you got two people with the same voter registration number voting, that's going to set off a red flag, right? And so once that happens, then that would trigger an investigation and we could figure this stuff out. But you have to do that thousands of times. And then you have to impersonate the person, go down there. You don't, of course, I'm saying you don't have to show the ID, but you'd have to know their signature, right? Because they look at your signature when you're signing it. So you'd have to know their signature well enough, because a lot of times they have it on record and stuff when they check through there. So it's the most difficult goddamn thing to do, and you'd have to do it thousands of times. This is not an issue. It's not a problem. All of these laws are just to make it more difficult to vote. That's it. Oh, that's why I got the wrong one. Anyway, all right. I'm like, why does it look weird?
I'm just like curious because I
That's
want to make
funny.
sure that like our elections are as fair and honest as possible. And I feel like voter ID is just something super simple to have. And do you think it's possible like illegal migrants could be voting?
Illegal migrants? What about
Not
them?
really.
Illegal migrants?
How? I mean, what's showing the ID?
How?
Yeah, if they don't have their ID and they could just sign on behalf of Richard Sherman,
Who the hell's Richard Sherman, dude?
then they could technically vote, right?
What? This kid's an idiot.
They would be right.
Yeah, but what if they just don't care? What if like Richard Sherman and Billy Bob Joe just don't care?
Who the hell are these people?
But so you don't think illegals would ever vote, would you?
I don't think so.
No.
Same.
So instead of showing your ID, you sign your signature and then it is scanned to verify it is you. So technically speaking, anyone could show up saying they are someone and it's a signature similar, that vote will then count. And with millions of people voting, it leaves room for fraud to occur. Just take these two examples.
A Southern California woman is
Alright.
facing 5 felonies
Nothing
after
funny.
registering her dog to vote in 2 elections. The dog's vote was even counted in one of those elections. Those behind the stunt say she did it to show the flaws of the current system.
Hundreds of people who cast votes according to state records, but we found they've been dead for years, including a woman who died in 1988, and records show she somehow voted in 2014, 26 years after she passed away. Then there's Julita Abutin. Records show she voted in Norwalk in 2014, 2012.
I think a lot of these, if I'm not, he's going back like so far on a lot of these claims or whatever. These were found to be inaccurate because they were people with the same name. That's what it was. It was just, it wasn't, they're trying to make it like it was, you know, these dead people were voting or whatever. It wasn't. It was people with the same name. It was just a clerical error. And clerical errors do happen, like, but that's not the same thing as voter fraud. You know, voter fraud takes so much more than what you could explain. I mean, you know, the clerical errors, even if you had like 100 of those exact same clerical errors, it would not get you anywhere where you would need to be in order to influence an election at all. Like it would, you have to go like thousands. Like it's absurd, you know.
2010, and 2008. The only problem is she's buried here at Forest Lawn. Abutin died in 2006. Is it possible your mother voted in 2014?
There's no way.
Abutin's daughter Maravik says it's certainly impossible that her mother voted, but the LA County Registrar confirms they have signed vote-by-mail envelopes with her mother's name for the 2014 and 2012 election.
It's funny too. I almost wonder if they would say like who they voted for, because a lot of the voter fraud that was caught were people voting for Trump.
Even though she died 10 years ago.
So it's not some crazy conspiracy theory to think that people are illegally voting inside the state of California. And with the state receiving millions of illegal migrants, the opportunities for fraud now are even higher.
So racism. This is all just about the racism, you know. It's, hey, people are afraid of immigrants voting, and they try to make it like that's something, like they're trying to get in here and then vote. Like they're trying to, like, I got to get in that country so that I can influence who, so that I can vote. That's what I need to get there to do. They're not doing that, dude. Why would they go through all that trouble? They're already being targeted like crazy. And now they're going to put a target on their back for something as stupid as voter fraud. Really, dude?
As millions of undocumented people are living inside of the state. Now let's go meet up with a man by the name of Urson, who has dedicated years of his life digging through voter rolls, finding fraud and inconsistencies throughout the state. So how bad is the voter fraud here in California?
Well, we actually don't know because law enforcement isn't really investigating it, and we don't have people qualified to actually figure that out.
and what kind of fraud is taking.
So then why, including me, I'm not qualified to figure that out. But we got a clipboard though. Look at how official. It's got like a red pen in it and everything, dude. It's got to be the real deal, right?
Place.
Well, we have voter rolls of about 22 to 23 million people in California. And we have just in Orange County, per se, there's 60 to 70,000 changes a month that happens. So the amount of time and effort to go and follow up with every one of those, we just don't have the resources to do that.
And so what information?
You would have to, you think you need to follow up with every single voter? Like what do you mean? You're saying that the changes we can't put like, and who is you? I don't think you work there, does he?
Information have you been collecting about the voting fraud here in California?
We have people that are still in our rolls from 2008 that are still getting ballots mailed to them that haven't voted in 18, 16 years.
And so if they haven't voted, what's the problem with them receiving those ballots?
Well, sometimes there's votes that happen later on with someone that hasn't lived here for 12 years. And we found several occurrences of that. When we turn that in, those are treated as independent incidences that don't affect the outcome of the election. So
because they don't. There's absolute, like, again, clerical errors happen, but like them trying to act like this is all some kind of like orchestrated event is insane.
So they're highly disregarded from our concerns as voters.
And what information do we have right here?
Well, we've got several different pieces that we're looking at today. One thing that's just a simple anomaly for people to understand is there's people that show to be 125 years old in our voter rolls. And that's a simple data flaw. But the issue is it keeps happening over.
They keep making the same arguments over and over and over again. See, they're saying on our data, on our voter rolls, not saying that they voted. They're saying that they still, their names are still there. It sounds like they might be trying to just lie anyway and say like some of the people that are, in those categories are actually voting too. But there's just no evidence of that. It's just, it's just the names remain on the voter rolls for a long time after they pass away. That's just how things work.
Over again to the tune of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds in every county. That's a large size like where we're at today. Another one is we have a lot of voters that are at central locations, 10, 12, 15 people at a place where what is this business? What is it doing? These people are still going to continue to get ballots. Another one is like a lot of the sororities and the dorm houses, where we have typical turnout, or voter turnout is like in the 50 to 70% range, but it's like 106 out of 108 votes cast. So it doesn't mean that that's fraud.
Yeah, I hate it when YouTube updates stuff. Like it just makes it so difficult to find things. It's like all they'll do is change the name of something. I'm like, well, go, everything is gone. But it's like they changed the name to something really stupid too. That's just it's just frustrating. It's like, why the fuck? But they're not all video. Like some of them are live. What the fuck? Ah, shit. See, and now I can't split it. Oh, that's so frustrating. Damn. All right. Why can't I split it now? I'm like, oh, that irritates the hell out of me. Because it's already live. Motherfucker. Oh, there we go. Okay. What? Oh, is that the wrong one? I am so confused. Oh, I hate this shit.
But it means these are out of the normal order of what happens. And so that's what we're going to be going around and looking at today and seeing what's out there and what we can find. We have a system where you can register to vote in California without a driver's license number or social security number. Why do we allow that? That creates 9.6 million records that then the state has to send to the Social Security Administration.
Well, it's almost as if, firing a whole bunch of federal workers and stuff is not the best idea when you're the ones complaining about there just being too much available, like too loose of regulation to catch fraud. It's almost as if you got a president that's trying to do the fraud,
And when 75% of those come back with no matching social security record, it should make every California wonder, why do we have a system like that? Why do we have a system that's creating work and uncertainty?
And so what have you done to get this information about the voter fraud that's taking place here in California?
Well, we get our information from the Secretary of State. We get it directly from them. It's a lot of information, and it's very complex.
Who is this person?
And so
did I catch that at the beginning? Did like he say, okay, where are we at? 726. I feel like around here, he would have introduced the person, right?
Millions of undocumented people are living inside of the state. Now let's go meet up with a man by the name of Urson, who has dedicated years of his life digging through voter rolls, finding fraud and inconsistencies throughout the state.
Okay, so nobody. He's nobody. Jesus, unbelievable. He's just a guy who digs through large data sets and then acts like he finds stuff that he probably doesn't find because, you know, same way these geniuses would like comb through all of the CDC studies on vaccines and shit. It's the same thing. They decide that they have an anomaly that they are going to find, and guess what? When you've already decided that ahead of time, you're going to find the thing that doesn't exist that you've decided you're going to find. That's what, you know, that's just what happens with these things. You know. All right, let me see. How's everybody doing? Everybody doing okay? Y'all feeling all right? Let me see here. Oh, we got a genius here. Oh, 1776. Oh my God. Minnesota proved fraud was possible at large scale. California is the next to be exposed, along with New Sumd. Okay, dude. Oh, you guys are so sad. No, yeah, everybody already knew about the fraud that was already there. And it was funny because it was already being investigated, even though Trump went and gutted the federal funding to be able to check for fraud and stuff like that. It's almost as if they do stuff like that on purpose. They like get rid of all the resources that would be able to seek out those kinds of issues. And then once they defund all that stuff, then they go around and just blame everybody for not catching the fraud that, you know, they couldn't catch because of all the defunding that comes down from the top, because the billionaires need to get their tax breaks, and so the government needs to be completely gutted, but then they could use that to blame the people that they disagree with politically. Yeah, it's almost as if that. Jesus. Anyway, how's everybody doing? Y'all feeling all right? Hey, what's up? Wow, 3 months. What's going on? Hell yeah, Kelly's awesome. Detroit atheist queen. 24/7. Love it. What's up with the daytime streaming? Yeah, I'm on vacation. I got like way too much stuff I got to do before we go, so I am daytime streaming today. And it's also kind of an homage back to like back in the day when I used to stream at this time every day, you know. So I thought, you know, some of the old timers, you know, the old classic viewers like, oh boy, just like back in the day, you know. Oh man, I love it. So cool, right? Anyway, who won today? Weirdo won. What's up, Weirdo? How we doing? Morning punk app state. Oh, getting fancy. What? Plunk app state? Morning plunk? I don't understand. Oh, plunk apostate. Got it. Okay. I think you misspelled some things. Hey, Blood Badger, what's going on? How you doing? Blood Badger is a woodland creature that feasts on the brains of their enemies. So, you know, got to have a couple of those around, right? You know, it's always important to keep a couple bloodthirsty badgers around. They're gonna pay off at some point, you know. Especially if there's some sort of villain that's trying to get you for like owing gambling debts or something. Anyway, thanks again for that, buddy. I really do appreciate that. That was great. They haven't been back to popping me. Yeah, that's great. And my left arm healed from being broken. Anyway, what's up, Alan? How we doing? What is going on? And we got resist oppression. What's going on here? Dead voters. Jesus is bringing the zombies back again, just like he did when he died. I don't know why it worked that way. It was like a reversal or something. There was this. Did the spell get like overlapped? Was that what it was? It was almost like the Doctor Strange and Spider-Man thing, in Spider-Man 3 or No Way Home, whatever it was called, where they accidentally expanded the curse, and God was like, okay, I got to bring Jesus back to life. So we're going to do a back to life magic there. Oh, shit. Okay, got all over the place. Oh, well, now everybody's just coming back to life. Well, this is awkward. Going to have just a bunch of dead people walking around. Hopefully, this will be immediately forgotten after this happens, so that it doesn't hurt the credibility of the rest of the things that I want everybody to believe, because it's the most important message that I could come up with, or the most important message for humans to believe for their immortal souls. Anyway, I wonder if that happened. All that to say that what I just said. Who else we got here? Oh, what's up, Seth? Got ambushed. Apostate. What's up, dude? Hell yeah. And we got where do they go? Oh, Dr. Kim. Hell yeah, dude. What's going on, my friend? I said, wow, it's early for you. It is early. Yeah. Like I said, I used to do these every single day. It was like as soon as the Atheist morning show ended, I would begin. And yeah. And John, what's up, John? Hell yeah. Got everybody here. It's great. Who else we got? Oh, Lynn. We got Lynn. Is a little political. What's up? To be fair, Trump also thought Nick Shirley was going around to nursing homes, not daycare. Oh God, these people are all so goddamn stupid. Anyway, not daycare, but then cut the daycare funding. Oh God, it's like they run the fucking government like it's like they're just like they're gangsters, like we would hate to have something happen to your funding. Okay. I personally would not like it if my funding was cut, but and I hear people that don't play ball get the funding cut. I heard, on high authority, I heard that. That's right. Yeah. No, no, this is not a threat. No, I'm just telling you what I've heard. Okay. So just get it straight, bucko. Do they say bucko? I don't know. Buster. What do they say? Jack. Look here, Jack. No, that's Biden. Why would Biden talk? Biden wouldn't talk like a gangster. Unless you talk to a MAGA person about it. The Biden crime family. Meanwhile, Trump doing all the crimes. But is what it is, I guess. That's what they got to do. Anytime they point the finger, they literally have 3, actually more like 10. I don't even know how to do it. 10 fingers pointing back at themselves because they're doing whatever it is they're accusing people of doing. Let's see. So I got it on the highest of authority. That's right. God, yeah. God, me and God are like this, okay? You got to. When you got bullets flying by all the time, you got to make sure you're good with the guy upstairs. All right, I'm gonna stop. I just, it's it gets stuck. It's hard to stop. Anyway, all right, back to this idiot. I almost want to go because it's just so much of the stuff that we've already. I mean, it's already. Look, we're just like what 7 minutes into this 22-minute video. Basically all the same shit that they've said before. No new evidence. Just a guy who has 0 credentials, 0 access to anything like official at all, saying he's got papers out, dead people voting all over. Look, they're just everywhere. I said, that's a dead person on that sheet of paper that voted. That's right over here. No evidence of anything. No way to verify any of this shit. Same as last time. And unfortunately, this shit will work. And honestly, if they don't send like a metro surge amount of like, World War Z style ICE agents just crawling on the top of each other to just overtake the whole town or whole state of California, I will be surprised if that doesn't happen as a result of this fucking brain damaged Mormon. I'm sorry, did I say Mormon? This brain damaged moron, but he is also Mormon. So that's, anyway.
This one is just kind of particularly odd. You got 45 people registered and 41 of them actually turned out to vote in the last election. So that's just, again, not typical for 55 to 70% turnout. So it's a mental crisis.
Sounds like it is a mental crisis. Sounds like it's your mental crisis, buddy. You're just, it's your mental, it's not working. Well, you're in crisis.
Senior, rehabilitation center. So we're just going to go there and see, is there 45 people there? Is there beds? And check it out.
See, we have no way of verifying that what the information they're claiming they're going to go check on is real. This is part of it. They say that they have some insider information that they're going to go check. But there's no verification of like what the information that they say they're checking on. They're just claiming that shit. And I can't at this point trust these people to not just be blatantly lying. It could be the case that they're like looking at old voter rolls. Like, how do we know? It could just be that they're stupid, right? They always, I always hear like, it's better to assume, I can't remember what that actual phrase is, but like they say like, before assuming malice of forethought or whatever, just it could be just plain ignorance, instead of thinking that, hey, this person's actually trying to hurt me or whatever. It could just be they're just stupid and they did something stupid and you were affected by the stupid thing they did. So you don't want to automatically go, they did this on purpose to hurt me. Anyway, does anybody know that phrase? You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, but I think they could just be stupid, because I feel like if there were these kinds of easily findable like crimes as it applies to voting, no actual journalists could find this shit. Just kids, just idiotic sounding kids, Mormon kids. And some old guy with pieces of paper. That's it. Those are the people that can figure this out. But no journalists, though. Huh.
Supervisor?
It's almost like, journalists actually have some level of integrity that they have to live up to because, they can get in trouble if they don't. But YouTubers can just fucking lie.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, it looks like there was maybe 41 of 45 people that are registered here. Does that seem low or high to you? Like as far as how many patients or residents you have?
That's probably not accurate anymore.
So that lady right there said that that's probably not accurate.
Right.
Anymore. Sounds like you got outdated information, dude. So all that's showing is that your information is wrong, not them doing fraud, man. God damn, they're stupid.
So this could be a huge location where hundreds of votes could be casted from this one location. She said that
could be casted from this one location. What?
Numbers sound like they're inaccurate. 41 out of 45.
Correct.
You're talking about people's living situations, dude, which change all the time, man. Like you have to wait until the census is to. Holy shit, dude. Because they're probably going off of like the last census, which was like fucking forever ago.
So is there a lot more people that could be registered to vote and could be having their voices expressed?
Well, let's move on to the next location.
You got it.
Now we're here in the University of San Diego because they got lots of voters here. But what's the deal with this location?
What's the deal with this location? What are you going to Jerry Seinfeld? What's the deal with this location? Are we all just out here just occupying space in the fourth dimension.
It's some sort of institute
Third dimension, I messed up the number of dimensions.
for peace and justice. So it doesn't seem like you'd have a lot of voters like registered at some sort of an administrative office, but it very well could be. You know, I mean, there's students that are all over the place here.
Could
so
be,
maybe it's some
yeah.
sort of a central mailing house or something like
Could be
that.
a
You have a
central
conference room. Yep.
What is going on, dude? This is this is like investigations for idiots, dude. Like only a moron. It's like I feel like it's like that Don't Fuck with Cats. Remember that movie? Don't Fuck with Cats movie. It was a documentary basically about like finding this predator guy who was hurting cats, and people found the videos and got really pissed and did their internet sleuthing and caught the guy. I feel like this kid watched that. And I could do that, but I could do it for against. I could get the Democrats in trouble because they're probably doing a bunch of frauds. They do frauds, and I can get them in trouble.
Garden of the Sky, the Croc School, classroom,
The Quark School.
conference rooms, anything but dorms. And this
Hey,
is the
no-
location where 58
No dorms over here.
people are registered to vote here inside of the state of California.
Is this like a central mailing location?
My God, they like think they're getting something. They put down that there aren't dorms there. Keep in mind, like the other, like he already was like pointed out that they're not even trying really to like do it, and it's like they're going to the wrong places. I guarantee this is them at the wrong fucking place and not knowing it.
Like this building for students and stuff?
No, this one is not. So we do have a mail center.
Because right here on the John B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice, it says we had 58
people
registered to vote and 50 people voted from this.
Where is it? The John B. Kroc? What?
It's not. So we do have a mail center.
Because right here on the John B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice, it says we had
John B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice. The fuck is that?
58 registered to vote and 50 people voted from this location.
So
So-
it's 5998 Alcala Park. You're
It is
saying
the
that
entire
is
university.
the entire university. So
Yeah,
where do the ballots go?
I have no clue.
See, this is what
I've
I'm
never
saying.
seen them.
So far,
You're so stupid. So why would you even leave that in there, dude? So basically, he's like, but this was the location. They're saying that there are voters here. And then they're like, that's the address for the entire place, which is the same mistake he makes elsewhere. And apparently, see what I'm saying about like people not learning from them being stupid prior. Like, it's okay to be stupid, right? Because everybody's going to be fucking stupid at some point. But you learn. You go, okay, I'm not going to be stupid anymore because I already was stupid like that. And now I'm going to not. That's what non-stupid people do when they do something stupid. They learn from it. These stupid people just keep doing the same stupid over and over and over again. God damn, they're fucking stupid.
we're 0 for 2 as far as getting any clarity about where these votes are being cast from here.
Yeah, or any sort of real
Yeah, from the dorms, because the dorms are located on the same premise.
clarity.
And at these locations, when there's only around 40 to 50 people registered to vote, in locations where there's hundreds and thousands of people, it leaves lots of room for speculations, especially when nobody actually knows what the real
Said especially, God, the way he talks just drives me absolutely insane.
count is and where the votes are being casted from. And just to remind
Yeah, quote unquote, amateur sleuthing. Yep.
under all this information from
Or just you. It reminds me of like little kids. You know what I mean? Like little kids are like, oh, we're gonna solve the crime. Yeah, we gotta go. Oh, get our notepad. We get our notepad. Okay. And then they go and just start asking questions. So when you were out at the place and they're just like, oh my God, getting everything wrong. They're just asked, they don't know what questions to ask, they don't know how anything works, you know, so they're thinking they're finding stuff when they're not. Like it's adorable, really. That's what these people are like.
Urson is the most up-to-date information from the Secretary of State of California as far as the voter rolls go.
Hold on. Let me see here. And Dr. Kip said, that was interesting. That was an interesting movie. But I have to say, it looked to me like all the amateur sleuthing didn't actually contribute to anything. The police can contribute anything to the police catching the guy. Yeah. Well, I mean, for the most part, I think they got him down to like the area or something, and they were like able to add the videos of him harming animals to the pile of evidence. But yeah, when it comes to like the actual real investigating, yeah, they didn't have as much to deal with it. It was just kind of like helping to sort of like make the case more solid in the end. That's it, you know, because a lot of times they can catch guys and not be able to do anything because they just don't have a sufficient amount of evidence to be able to demonstrate that they actually did what they did. So they were able to kind of like stack that stuff on top.
Fraud continues. Now we're outside of a extra
The Flawed continues, and now actually outside
space, a storage unit location here. 5 people are registered to vote.
Correct.
Did they cast their votes?
3 of them did in the 24 election. Then we had 1 that cast a ballot in the 2020 election and 1 that's never voted.
Where do they get this information from? So like voter information is just public? Like you can just go around, like you can just get people's voter information that's public record? Hold on. I gotta ask this. Because what is this Croc shit? John B. Croc Institute, is it? I was looking that up earlier. Institute for Peace and Justice, together with the partners, champions evidence-based, justice-centered solutions, and ending cycles of violence. What the fuck is this for? Together, partners develop champion evidence-based updates and research. Women peacemakers connect with University of San Diego community during annual residency. I don't know what the hell this is. Dolores, who is a civil rights leader. I mean, it seems like it's like a civil rights organization or like nonprofit. But like what, they get voter information? I don't know. Anyway, it's so strange, some of this shit. Hold on, what were we looking up? Well, here, we'll keep going.
The point is that unless this is a primary residence, right, or where you can sleep, right, which no one's supposed to by law allowed to sleep in their public storage unit, then this is not a legal registration. And these are the things that the county continues to let slip through the cracks.
Let's see if they're here. We have the names of all 5 people. Let's see if they're here. How's it going, sir? How are you doing today? Good. We're just looking for a few people here. We have Lily Morey, Philip Thomas, Sydney Thomas, Robert Thomas. We're just looking for these individuals as they're registered to vote here.
Do you have people that live here at Extra Space?
Are you Robert Thomas?
Oh, okay. Okay, so who gave you this list real quick?
Oh, from the Secretary of State.
Yeah, it's publicly available information.
What about Robert, Sydney, Philip, and Lily Thomas? What about them? Do they also get their ballots here? Robert
So
Thomas.
weird. It's so weird to like be just going into places and be like, where are the voting police? Who is getting their ballots here? Somebody needs to answer my questions. Okay, look, and he like does the thing where he flips his wallet. Hello, everybody. We are the voting proof. Flips the wallet open, flips it closed. I'm going to ask you a few questions. Look, just the facts, sir. Okay, we need to know. We need to know who's voting here, dude. All right, we've gotten some reports. Calling it reports makes it sound more official. We've got reports. Like, stop winking at me. Stop. You're making it look stupid. You're making it look stupid. I said the thing, man. Right?
Sydney Thomas, John Thomas, and Philip Thomas. Do you know where any of those individuals are? Any of the Thomases?
No, they're not here right now.
Do you know where any of the Thomases are? Do you know any Thomases? I know a guy named Thomas who could do a keg stand for a full 3 minutes. Do you know that, Thomas? You don't even know that one. I feel like he was pretty popular too. Did you hear the thing I said about the keg stand? That guy's, I thought everybody knew it. Knew that Thomas, you know? Tommy Keg Stand, really is what we call. Yeah, it's a good guy, best friends with Pete Hegseth. Actually, it's kind of weird, right? It's crazy that they know each other.
No one living in storage facilities, right? That's
No,
really
right?
the question, right? Just wondering if people are actually living in storage facilities.
So 5 people are registered to vote here. They confirmed that nobody lives here. A little fishy. California's got some weird things going on. So 5 people, and they didn't know where any.
You caught them. You caught all 5 of them. My God, come on, dude. I guarantee that these are outdated voting rolls. That's what I think is probably the issue here. They got outdated, and it would not surprise me if they got fucking outdated shit on purpose, right? So that they can say that everything doesn't match, and they can say they still got it from the Secretary of State because they did get the information from that particular source, but hey, it doesn't match any of stuff. Because this could easily be that there was like, well, first of all, the way that California worked, and this is like, he continuously gets caught because look how big this building is, just even from here, right? He continuously does the same mistake where he thinks, like he just did at the university, where he was saying that, oh man, but the address says it's here, that address says here, and it's like, yeah, but the address is the whole place, dude. It's the whole fucking place, and they're just repeating the same stupid mistake over and over and over again, because I guarantee you the place where that, like the address that includes that little shop or whatever the fuck, is the same address that houses all of these apartments and stuff. They would just have like subletters and stuff like that, like apartment A, like 1A and stuff like that. It's so stupid, but because they're trying to misunderstand this shit on purpose so that they can make it seem like there's fraud. They're just, they're not even going to pretend to know stuff like that. But I kind of think they're just that stupid too. So I don't know.
The Thomases were, but this is their primary location.
Well, if those 2 people actually live here and this is where they stay, their primary residence.
So, I mean, what's up, Tommy? How you doing? So I ain't telling these fucking people shit. All right, they can come in, ask me anyway. I'm going to give them all incorrect answers on purpose.
That's right. They get their driver's license here. Their tax stuff comes here. It's completely legal. But the other people that are here that they didn't know or do know or so forth, right? Are they someone that was just getting something in a storage facility? So,
but this is a storage facility. There's no apartments here.
No.
Nobody's living here.
Not inside the storage facilities. But if the couple that we spoke to is actually, this is their primary residence, that would be legal under state law.
But for these 5 people that are registered and that cast their votes,
and if it's not them, then no, those are not legal.
Those are illegal votes. And so
those are illegal votes. Okay, so that was a storage facility. But like, I don't know. I bet you money those were like old. I think they have like old data roll information or something. I guarantee it's them just not understanding something basic, just like all the other times where I guarantee it.
that right there is 5 potentially fraudulent votes in one location inside of a store.
5 votes, y'all, potentially. So it's not even. It's so funny. It's like no way to verify any of this shit. And then even what the bullshit that they can come up with is 5. Like, even if those were true, even if like everything they're saying was 100% accurate, 5? Really, man? Like 5 is not enough. Not to mention, what the fuck is he even doing in the first place? Like, do they think that they're gonna like figure out that California is actually a Republican state? Is that what we're doing? Is that what they think they're gonna do? Like, what the fuck is even happening? I'm like, this is all just so that they can get all the attention over there to another one of Trump's like enemies, states, so that they can terrorize them using their ICE, Gestapo, SS, masked big government thugs. Anyway. I hate these people.
Storage unit. This is super important to understand before we go to the next location. In California,
It's super important to understand. all this stuff.
California, when you register to vote, you must be your domicile location, which is your primary residency. You can then put a different
Your domicile? What did you just say? Your domicile?
address to receive before we go to the next location. In California, when you register to vote, you must be your domicile location.
Your domicile? I don't know.
Which is your primary residency. You can then put a different address to receive your mail, but for it to be on the voter registration form and for the voter rolls, it must be your domicile address, your primary address. Now we're going to start going to some of these locations.
So basically, pretty much what you're saying here is that it could easily be a mistake that people are putting down their PO boxes and stuff, or like the place where they want to get the ballot or whatever, or like the where they get their mail, instead of their actual living address where they actually live at. So you're basically just providing exactly the reason why these clerical errors could be happening. It's just people making mistakes, because that's what people, they're people. That's why those mistakes happen. It's called human error, dude. All right. They're not just an excellent local punk band. That's right. Called Human Error. You should definitely check them out. They're really great. I'm actually going to go see them pretty soon here. But they're also a word that has to do with humans making little mistakes all the time. Yeah.
Where people have put their primary addresses as PO boxes in locations like the one we're about to go to. Over 30.
What's up, Ember? How we doing? What's going on? And we're saying, lovers. Lovers. Is that what that is? You calling us all lovers? Bunch of lovers over there. There sure is.
People are registered to vote at this one.
Angier, what's going on, Angier? How we doing? That dude literally just explained how some people use these addresses for legal correspondence and told him it was legal. Nick purposefully misunderstood and twisted what he was saying. Oh, see, I didn't even. That's so funny. I mean, which is kind of ironic because I kind of already assumed they were going to do that. So, hey, accidentally right. But so they explained it, though, is what you're saying. Oh, my God.
The UPS store. With this fraud, a lot of these people registered to vote had their primary residency at a UPS store or a United States Postal Service location.
So this one, I do know for a fact that he's an idiot. This one was caught. I'd say caught, but quote unquote exposed, that he was stupid and wrong about this.
Right here, we have over 30 people who are registered to vote, and all these people right here, there's over 30 of them, are registered to vote, and this is their location, and a large majority of them actually voted in the 2024 election against Trump and Joe Biden. And right here, we have Gloria. Gloria voted.
Fucking Gloria. Gloria lives right here in case anybody doesn't like that lady and wants to know where she is. Fucking Gloria. You know that bit.
Last election, she's a 100 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not even possible to get to 100 years old. Like, what? This is crazy. What do you do?
In 1925, still kicking.
What do you think of?
Yeah, there are people like that, dude. We have modern medicine. I know. It's probably going to decline given, that people are ruining our modern medicine, probably so that people won't live as long. But yeah, people can live over 100, dude. My grandmother lived to be 106, and I'm pretty sure she voted up until maybe like a year or two prior to that.
About over 30 people are registered to vote in this UPS store right here. Is that a little strange to you?
Is that a little strange to you, lady? Huh? How many people do you know living inside the UPS store? What do you think about this? This is really good sleuthing, man. Just random people on the street. We're gonna break this wide open.
Is it through PO boxes?
Yeah.
I don't know. What are you trying to do, or what are you trying to prove?
Yes.
See, it's like, I don't know what are you trying to prove here. What are you trying to prove?
So you have to re-register where you live, right? Where your primary residence is. And so if you've got a primary residence that's a UPS store, there's a real tiny houses, inside the UPS store for.
Oh man, he's got jokes, man. He's got jokes. Yeah, they're from that movie where they shrink people. What was that movie? Downsizing. Yeah, it's the people from that movie. They got a whole little villa in there, dude. It's like the villages in Florida.
People to live in.
Probably. What's your guys' affiliation?
My name's Nick
citizens.
Shirley.
Yeah.
With nothing. We're in nothing. We're nobodies. We're idiots.
Could you live inside a PO box?
No.
So
Could you? Wow, dude. They really do think they've got something here.
do you think it's a little strange that here in California you have lots of people who are registered to vote from these PO boxes? Meanwhile, you don't even have to show your ID when you go and vote.
Because those two things are related. What? How is that related, dude? You still have the signatures get checked. You fucking idiot.
I don't want to be part of the whole MAGA storyline. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good. You guys are idiots. Goodbye.
This isn't a MAGA storyline, man. This is just a straight
Literally is. It literally is a MAGA storyline.
up facts.
No, it's absolutely not.
Now we're going in. How are you guys?
Now we're going in.
Good.
Gonna
Yeah.
nail these guys. But they probably live in, watch them say that. They probably live inside these little tiny boxes over there. How many people you got living inside those boxes? Huh? How many little tiny downsized people you got in there? Tell me. They can't even answer. They don't even know what to do. I got them so hard.
Could we talk to somebody?
No.
This is super important. It has to do with our elections here, ma'am.
Oh my God. Get the fuck out, dude. You can't just be walking around filming people in private establishments like this.
Come and talk to us.
Is Gloria here by chance?
What the fuck? Wow, he's stupid.
Because she's 100 years old and she voted last election from.
He's like, they're like children. Oh my God, they're so stupid. It hurts.
All right, so they won't even speak to us.
Yeah, because you're an idiot.
You know Gloria? She's 100 years old. She voted last election here. She's supposed to.
You know Gloria? You know all the 100-year-old people that are just out walking. You know everybody over the age of 99, right? In this area? No? What? Why not? Why don't you know all the 100-year-old people?
In one of these PO boxes.
No, I have no idea.
A little strange, right? Sir.
You are. Yes, you. You're the strange thing happening here. The idiot that doesn't know basic facts and is trying to figure stuff out. So here, before we move on, I didn't realize they were going to spend so much time on this. So the thing that they get wrong, that is like this basic ass shit that you almost know they know, right? Is there's an apartment building at that address as well. I don't know how they didn't know that, but that is just like the back side of an apartment building. Like in California and stuff, they have apartments in like and above and stuff, like establishments all the time. Like we actually have that here in Florida. Like I have downtown St. Petersburg. There are like home residents above businesses and stuff. So you got like bars and things like that when you get down to like the strip and all that. And then there's these apartments that are up above it, which is just super fucking common. And it's like, I kind of like, I don't know how they could not have known that when they were making this, but that's why they spend so much time being like, where's Gloria? Where's Gloria? Do you know Gloria? She's over 100 years old and she still managed to vote somehow. All you're basically doing is saying how awesome this lady is for being able to vote, even though she's 100. But they just keep on like needling at that because that's all they got. And they got even less than that, but like they're trying to get that, given that they hope people won't go and just look up what the fuck they're talking about and see that that's an apartment building that also includes a UPS store. Jesus. Hey, what's up, cruise ship? How are we doing? Yeah, he so reeks of desperation. He really does. That's a great way to summarize that, actually. Jesus. Here we go.
Have you ever met like a Gloria or anything? She's supposed to live in one of these PO boxes.
Oh my
She
God.
voted.
No.
Is this really?
No idea.
Why?
And another thing that's
Why do you keep asking everybody? It's so funny. It's almost like he's doing the person he knows is over 100 years old on purpose, so that they, most people won't know them, because most people don't know people that are bedridden and 100 years old. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, actually, Gloria's my grandmother. What are you talking? Why are you asking me about my grandmother? Is she okay? Is she okay? Do I need to call my mom right now?
Super concerning about all this fraud taking place is right now the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, is also leading the way on poly market as to who's going to be the Democrat nominee in 2028.
See, now we're seeing why they're here. See, there's always some kind of like political motive, right? Before it was Tim Walz. Tim Walz, the enemy of Trump, is the governor of Minnesota, and so that's why they got their little excuse to do their Operation Metro Surge for Minnesota.
What do you think it says about states that don't require people to have voter ID?
It's like inconsistent, so people can kind of like tweak it however they want. So I don't know. I don't trust it. That's why.
Should states require people to show voter ID when they go and vote?
100%. Like I think like people should be verified that that's them voting, and that's like.
What's up, man? No, it's been honest. What's this then? What's this then? Do you have a license to stream this early? I assume that's what you got to end it with. Isn't it? They just end sentences with "isn't it," right? Not just, it's basically a period over there. Isn't it? It'll be on statements and stuff too. The sky is blue, isn't it? Like, is that a question? You asking me now? Like, I thought you just said, you just made a statement. I did make a statement, isn't it? What? Why are you just saying
them
why are you asking isn't it after everything you say?
Person like that needs to be like a face.
I'm British, isn't it?
Face action. If they can't, there needs to be another way of verification.
And what makes you think that way? A lot of people don't think that way about voter ID.
I don't know. I think it's just like a common sense thing. Like it should be you that's voting and like your vote that's going through. So it's not just like anybody.
Do you think people would pass?
Yeah, it's almost as if, you use the ID when you get registered, man. Like, why the hell do you have to take it with you? Like, do you need to fucking bring your birth certificate? What, you need your social security card? Do you need the hospital that you were born at? Oh, fuck, they're trying to make it so you need all those things. God damn it. Why did I say anything?
Pass you off for Ralph Salcido if you just said you're Ralph Salcido?
No. Like, if I said that to me, they'd be like, really? If I
can't make it too easy for you, isn't it? It is. It is.
Walked up and like, I said, oh yeah, I'm 100 years old. They'll be like, what? You can't like fake age. So
this building here.
Did you just say what? Hold on. Did you just say you can't fake age?
You're Ralph Salcido?
No. Like if I said that to me, they'd be like, really? If I walked up and like I said, oh yeah, I'm 100 years old, they'll be like, what? You can't like fake age. So
this building here.
Yeah, you can't. You can't fake age ever. That's not something that happens almost all the fucking time, dude. What the hell are you talking about? Dude, how many like people are out there that have like fake IDs so that they can look younger, so that they can trick people into being younger, to thinking that they're younger, is what I meant to say.
In downtown San Diego, there's over 16 people who are registered to vote at this address right here. It wouldn't surprise
I mean, it's never heard of makeup or actors.
If inside of this building alone, there's 15 people registered to vote, yet all the windows are boarded up.
Oh, one of the business was ducats, and I never saw anybody go in or out of there.
15 people are registered to vote, and a lot of them voted in the 2024 election.
Doesn't surprise me. This is California for a reason.
Oh my God. How does he only manage to find, he's in California, and like the 4 people he happens to interview all are like MAGA cuck pieces of shit.
Do you think voter fraud takes place here in California?
100%.
And do you trust Gavin Newsom?
No, not at all.
Yeah, this guy seems like really smart too, and well adjusted and everything. I mean, just look at it. Wait, is he on a camera? Is he one of the fucking cameramen? He came with him, dude. You know what? I don't believe that this guy isn't one of his crew pretending to be. Hello there, random Californian. That is me. I am a random I live in this state. How are you, stranger, sir, that I've never met? You're an attractive young man, you are. What's the question that you were about to ask me, sir?
Tell by the way he talks. He never wants to answer a real question. Let's see. He calls ICE, basically calls them out, calls them terrorists. In some ways, I kind of...
They kind of are. You say basically. He should explicitly call them that, since that's literally what the fuck they are.
kind of hope he runs for president. I mean, someone else is going to get governor, and if he doesn't make it as president, his political career is done. I don't see him winning. I really don't.
Right now in Polymark, he's leading for the Democrats as far as who's going to be the next nominee.
See, this whole thing is just to try to terrorize Gavin Newsom so that he either won't run for president, or I guess they'll try to take him down so that he can never be in politics again or something.
Yeah, Kamala was leading. Look how that went.
Do you think California should require voter ID?
Do I think that voters should require voter ID?
Yes.
No.
Why not?
Why?
How come you need an ID when you go to the airport?
I don't know why.
You're leaving this state, dude. Like, and also, don't you gotta verify that it's like that you got the right ticket and shit? But okay,
You got to do that either.
So do you think it's possible to have fair
He's like, I don't think you should have to do that. Yeah, that's right.
elections here in the United States if people don't prove who they actually are by giving their ID when they go and vote?
You prove who you are when you get registered, dude, and you do need an ID for that. I don't know why you need the ID when you have the voter registration number right there with you. It's so hard to cheat this way, dude. They're making it sound like it's just so easy. It's so much more fucking difficult.
Can't even answer that. That either.
So do you think it's possible to have fair elections here in the United States if people don't prove who they actually are by giving their ID when they go and vote?
No, that's too. I can't even answer that. Cause I'm like this. If you here, you can vote. It's just too much paperwork.
Too much paperwork.
Yeah, too much bureaucracy, too much stuff.
Yeah, too much regulation. I thought that was what you guys are all about. You guys aren't about so you like extra regulation. Is that what this says? You like the red tape, huh?
It's just too much.
So when you go vote, you don't want to show your ID?
Nah. Heck nah, for what?
To prove that you are you.
I mean, I'm me anyway. I'm me anyway.
That's what your signature's for, dumbass.
So no ID?
Nah. Mm-mm.
What if I wanted to vote on behalf of your name?
Why would you want to do that? Tell me why I want to do that, and then I can make a decision.
What if I wanted you to vote Democrat and you're a Republican?
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, that's a point. But I still ain't approving of it.
We headed to the next location, and it was the exact same thing.
So he has to ask some dude just like riding down the street, and that's the only person it seems that wasn't on his crew pretending to be you could have put the camera down. Too bad. Just put the camera down. Everybody was like, no, one of you assholes is gonna break it. You guys are you always joking like you're gonna break my stuff, man. Why do they always bully everybody? I hate being friends with Republicans. They're just so mean. No, I'm gonna keep my camera on me while we do this interview. I don't care if it looks bad. Okay, I'll put it behind me a little bit. Okay.
Where tons of people were registered to receive votes from a PO box. So we're wondering, do these people live here?
I don't know. Yeah.
Like, are they living inside the post office?
This is the address of the post office, right?
Yeah.
This isn't like their mailing address. That's like their.
It reminds me of, honestly, I'm gonna head out for this. Go like how long have we been going? This is getting just fucking old. It's just the same shit over and over again. Okay, we've been going for an hour. Yeah, hour's a long time to be doing this. But it's just the same shit over and over again. And it reminds me of like during the 2020 election, and all the right wingers were like doing everything they could during the election, like during the actual election, to try to find anything they could that could make it look like there were crimes being committed. Like one of the ones that comes to mind immediately was this what's up, Deep State? How we doing, dude? It was like one of the things that happened immediately when it was Crowder, and he like he went in and got this footage of a guy bringing a box out from a voting area, precinct, whatever, right? Turns out it was it was just a person with the media that was moving some of the equipment out after they had been filming the, for a story or whatever. But like, of course, they remove all that context. I don't even think they knew that context. They're just like, oh, we got a guy with a wheelbarrow, or not a wheelbarrow. That would have looked funny. But it was what's not much better. It was a radio flyer wagon. It was a wagon, and they're just like pulling their box, just like, I don't know, maybe the cameraman that uses it is nostalgic or something. I don't know, but yeah, and they filmed that, and then they were trying to say that it was like, oh, look, there's all this voter fraud and stuff, and then it was like used by like Fox News and shit. So it's really frustrating the way that they just lie about this kind of stuff, so that they can say that it's unfair, so that they can cheat, because that's the way they do stuff, let me see. Deep State say that. So they want an extra ID on top of all the IDs people normally have. Oh, the IDs that people normally have, and that's stupid. They want an extra ID on top of all the IDs that we have. Huh. I've heard that too. That it was like specific IDs. It wasn't even just that it was an ID. It was like a specific kind of ID. It was like one that was, that they were proposing prior, but they were able to demonstrate that was racist because of like where it was located and stuff like that, where you would have to go to get it and all this shit. If a con man is trying very hard to distract you with something, it may be wise to look at what he's distracting you from. The Epstein list, right? Or the Epstein files, right? That's what he's trying to distract you from. Deep State said, every time I've gone to vote, every time I've gone to vote, I ever had a voter registration card with me, or I had my driver's license, and both of them were acceptable. Yeah, if you have your voter registration card, that's all that should need, and really just the number. As long as you got your number, because then you sign it, and then it's like your signature can be verified. That's why they always say sign. Don't sign like you're just going quick. Make sure you sign like how you sign, so that because they do check that shit. That's like part of the verification process when they are counting the ballots and stuff. So stupid the way they fucking do this shit. Anyway, sorry. Interesting, in the Netherlands, everyone is automatically registered to vote at birth. Wow, that must be nice. When they turn 18, the legal age to vote, a ballot is sent to their residence. Damn, that's crazy. So it's just that easy there. God damn it. It's not fair. You all get to live in a cool country where people are trying to remove your right to vote. I remember all that. You remember that? You remember the Crowder thing? Yeah. Boy, that guy fell off. I gotta say, that's like one of the few cool things of 2026, 25, 26. That dude completely fallen off. Holy shit. So funny. All right, let's go check out something else. So I'm kind of bored of this now. It's just the same shit over and over again. They're just going around like asking people, did the voters live here? And we already know that they've made like some of the dumbest and most easily checkable mistakes ever, which means they're probably just lying on purpose, Anyway, I would recommend there's like a really good John Oliver on voter ID that you should check out, because he kind of like goes through like exactly why. I couldn't play it here because of the copyright and stuff, but like he goes through exactly why godless apologists what are non-Catholics actually atheists? Is that what he said? I almost feel like I want to watch that. This dude's been cracking me up lately, I'm going to be honest. The Council of Trent. But yeah, he kind of like goes through exactly like how difficult it is to do voter fraud in any kind of like way that it would actually be effective to like get somebody elected and stuff. Almost impossible, no matter like anyway. Is that real? Is there actually a brand new day, or is this one of those fake ones again? This is a fake one, isn't it? I don't know. I don't know if I buy it. Okay, it looks like it might be real. I'll have to watch that later. Is that out yet? Does anybody know if that's out yet? The lie every good person believes about heaven. We are not conservatives. That's weird. First of all, from what I understand, you're not supposed to make your thumbnail like the same as the title. That's kind of like, don't want to do that. But which is probably why you only got 12K 4 days ago. But it's like YouTube does not like it when you break its rules like that. Okay. I've got it curious. Hold on. It's only 6 minutes. And
you could say the 20 years ago.
So these are Christian nationalist nutbags that want to rule over the country as, theocratic tyrants, basically. Oh yeah, and they also hate everybody that's not white. Yeah.
To be conservative was to be Christian. Now in 2025, if you ask Turning Point USA, they say it's ethical monotheism. They have to say that to accommodate Jews, Muslims, Hindus.
That's terrible.
Right?
What?
Turning Point USA does this? That's right? I don't think that's accurate, dude. Like, I've never heard anybody from Turning Point say anything like that. It's always been Christianity. Maybe Judaism or whatever because of the Judeo-Christian value shit, but it's so weird because he's trying to like frame it this way in the sense of like they can't even say that Christianity is right, when really he's just mad that like non-white people are also being pitched the conservative party by TPUSA, which is their whole job as an organization is to get conservative, specifically Republican voters to vote. And yeah, but he's like, but they're trying to get people that are not white and Christian to vote Republican. What?
Are you conserving?
It's like arguably 100 years ago, maybe it was Presbyterian or Episcopalian,
right,
like a very American denomination. Then it became like, well, we're one nation under God, Christian God. Now it's like ethical monotheism. I wonder what it'll be like in 100 years.
Oh, we're going to be blown off the map by then. Don't worry, buddy. We will not. Trump will have set off the nuclear war that will end everything before that even begins to get close. Hold on. Aunt Cheer says every voter also every voter gets a ballot sent to their home. There are ballot drop-off boxes, USPS mailboxes, in-person voting locations, and post offices where you can return your ballot. Hold on. There was something else. Oh, that's right. And also every household with a registered voter in it gets sent a voter's guide with all the information you need in order to be an informed voter. God, must be nice. Holy shit. That is not... In Florida, we're like trying to trick people, basically. Like they literally changed the rules so that you gotta like go re-register to vote now because they know a bunch of people are going to forget to do that, and then they can have fewer voters, and when fewer voters vote, guess what? Guess who wins more frequently? Yeah, you nailed it. The people that don't know the billionaires are the problem and not the poor brown people. Jesus.
Nutricell Powering the new Christian right. America First. Can you talk to us about that?
Yes.
Can you talk to us about that? Why am I so feminine in the way that I talk, yet I am so I'm so anti-feminism? Why is that?
Oh, I call myself America First because when we talk about who we are, what is our grouping, people tend to say we're conservative or right wing.
Right.
And I heard that my whole life.
Look how tiny he is. He's so cute. Like, he barely fits in this. It's like he's like a normal sized person, it seems, right there. Like that. Look at his little tiny legs. And they're like pulled up. Oh, he's so cute. He looks like Kevin McAllister going to church or something. Look how he's dressed.
And I always identified as a conservative or libertarian or right wing or something. And these are terms that increasingly don't really have meaning. What actually does that mean? And people have to ask themselves, what is a conservative? Because now we're being told it's conservative to be a religious pluralist in favor of multiracialism, in favor. It's like, so what actually, people ask, are we even conserving or serious about conserving?
What does he think the word conservative mean? Like, he's like, oh no, it has to mean that you're conserving something. Is that what it? Because I thought the whole point of the conservative versus liberal thing was on spending. It was fiscal. I mean, they would say, I'm a fiscal conservative, right? Because I don't think we should be spending all this money, right? And even in that definition, if we went with that as the definition, the modern day Republican Party would not make any sense to call them fiscally conservative, given, just the ICE budget alone. But and everything else, tariffs, like you name it, like they're not fiscally conservative at all. And they're putting in a fucking golden ballroom. Like, are you kidding? Like, they're not conservative at all. But still, I don't know what he thinks the word conservative means here.
And then people get to something like, well, being a conservative is being a liberal. It's being a right liberal, a classical liberal.
Right.
Yeah, it's a monotheism to accommodate Hindus. Yeah, exactly. Can't have that. Can't have fucking Hindus. They worship more than one god. What? How would they? You can't have them in the same political country, let alone political party.
It's like, okay, so is conservatism even a tangible thing? And I look at myself in the context of what has happened in the past 30 years, which is globalization, and the globalization of the government with the supranational institute.
I missed hold on, let me see. Then I missed the first comment because you were talking about over there, right? I'm talking to Andrew. Hold on. Let me just write this wrong real quick here. Where the fuck did it go? Wait. He's never. Hold on. No. Oh, you're talking to Washington State. Okay. Is this the one you're talking about, Andrew? Commander, similar to in Washington State, there are several opportunities to register to vote when you get a driver's license or ID, when you apply for social services, when you get a library card. Really? Okay. That's well, nobody does that anymore, because then that would mean that people are reading, and that's not even that's crazy to even think somebody might be doing that. Yeah, okay, that's what I was gonna. Anyway, so yeah, that was the first. Well, that's all right. I don't want to confuse everybody with my messing up what I was talking about there. Anyway,
institutions like the IMF, the World Bank, the United Nations, these institutions that sit on top of our government, as well as the influence of foreign interests, multinational corporations.
I used to call the IMF the international motherfuckers, right? I don't know why that's a story.
Foreign intelligence agencies, the globalization of the population with open borders, immigrants pouring in, and this is even to your point.
He always looks like alcoholics. He's got just going on his show. There's just so many bottles of alcohol right here. And this dude's supposed to be like this good family man Christian. And yet all of his guests are sitting in front of a pile of liquors.
About the intention of the Constitution. Was it intended for there to be millions of Indians, Chinese, and foreigners here? The answer is no. We're becoming globalized in terms of the demographics.
What? That absolutely what? Like they came here from elsewhere in order to be free and create a country where people could come from elsewhere to be free here. Like, and that was that was why we got like the Statue of Liberty and shit, was because we were that's where we were bringing people in. Just, I mean, we weren't bringing them in. That's where they were coming in at constantly. What the fuck are you talking about, dude?
And the globalization of the economy through free trade, which is the interdependence of the United States with China, Mexico, Canada, these supply chains, which make us dependent on other countries. And so it's in the context of,
oh my God, does he really think that we're like self-sustainable? Like we're not, dude. Like we cannot have the way of life that we have currently and not have global trade. There are things we can't grow here. There are things that we can't make here. I mean, a good example of that is like the fucking, what is it, like the batteries or something? I think it's like a certain kind of battery that is used for electrical vehicles, but then also in just like computers and stuff. Like we purchase that stuff from overseas. I think in China, a lot of times we buy, I mean, look at any electronics. You see that we like flip them over. They're all made over there in Asia and shit. Like we have to do it this way. Otherwise we would not have the things that at the scale anyway, that we need to live the lives that we are living right now. Oh.
Where they're preoccupied.
Muted his dumbass.
Supply chains, which make us dependent on other countries. And so it's in the context of globalization that I don't feel like a conservative, where they're preoccupied with limiting the size of government or vague appeals to family values, which become more vague and generic all the time. You could say that 20 years ago, to be conservative was to be Christian. Now in 2025, if you ask Turning Point USA, they say it's ethical monotheism. They have to say that to accommodate Jews, Muslims, Hindus.
That's terrible.
Right?
That is terrible. But they have to use it that way. Why would they use that word? That is terrible. I'm distraught at how awful that is.
What are you conserving?
It's like arguably 100 years ago, maybe it was Presbyterian or Episcopalian,
Right.
like a very American denomination. Then it became like, well, we're one nation under God, Christian God. Now it's like ethical monotheism. I wonder what it'll be like.
Hold on. That's a good comment. Hold on a sec. That's pretty funny. I couldn't sit there without all that alcohol. Gonna be honest. I'm just gonna. Yeah. Okay. No, I see you. I hear you, and I get it. Yeah. Probably need something more than that. I'm honestly some MDMA. Something that really, takes me, like, won't even allow me to get mentally to that space. Yeah, MDMA, I feel like would probably be the only thing that could get me there.
In 100 years, when we have like polytheism and pagans, it'll just be like all they'd be like deists or something.
Right, yeah.
And so anyway, I look at conservatives as basically, they're just not.
Is it Chinese and foreigners? Both of those, huh?
Speaking the same language anymore. It doesn't seem to have a hard definition. It doesn't seem to have answers for the actual problems affecting real Americans.
I'm Handel Humphrey. I'm the CEO of Nutricell Supplements. We are a small American.
Whoa, where did you come from? And why? I wouldn't think you would be allowed to be on the screen right now, given the people that are whose video this is. You know what I mean? You're not white enough to be advertising stuff for these guys.
Family-owned business. We care about your health, and I want you to try methylene blue, and this is why.
Methylene? That sounds just like a straight up chemical. Have you tried drinking methylene? What? That's right, methylene sulfide. It's not poison. You should take it anyway. Wow, this is what he keeps going. Oh, there it is.
He didn't. I said, so my real idea,
and at least that's
is something I was searching for in 2016 when Trump was elected. When Trump ran in 16, he didn't say I'm the most conservative. He didn't say I'm the most right wing or the most Republican.
He's a billionaire, dude. Of course he's not going to be conservative. But again, I don't think we're using the same definition of conservative.
He said, I'm America first.
Right.
He said, this is about globalism and nationalism, not liberals and conservatives, Democrats and Republicans. It's about globalists, internationalists, and nationalists, people that want to put the American people first. And in his inaugural, that's where I got the name of my show. And just funny story, when I started my show with Right Side Broadcasting Network, they asked me what I wanted to call the show. And my first instinct was the Nicholas J. Fuentes Show.
And oh, wow. Yeah, that's original. You know, what are you, fucking Dave Matthews? Get the hell out of here.
I said, well, that's too long. No one knows who you are. No one knows your name. I was like, okay. They said, so you need something shorter, something different. And I really had no idea. A month later, Trump gave his inaugural. And in the inaugural, he said, a new vision will govern our land. It's going to be only America first.
Yeah.
And I heard that and I said, that's it. Like that. And it's because that really encapsulates who we are. When I say we and like our kind of people and they, the people that are against us, it's those that that have a sense of American identity, that it's about the American people and their history, their heritage.
How do they not? Wow. Okay. So she's dreaming. But my puppy is just going, but she's sleeping. So it's just a dream. Just threw me off here for a second. But when he's talking about this, it always kills me because like it's so obvious that it's from a very specific ethno group, right? Like they're trying to do this whole like, we believe in America first, bro. That's all. We're just America first. And it's like, dude, all of us that are here believe in America first. Like, what are you talking about? I mean, I think there's ways to like still be fair and treat other countries fairly and everything. But like, yeah, we are that country. Of course, we hope the government puts its own country first when they're doing policy and stuff. This is really silly. But when they say America first, though, they're not talking about the country. They're talking about white people. They think that that America and white people are like one and the same. Like those are the things that those two things are like inextricably tied together when it's not. Our country was like founded as like people coming from all over. In fact, like whiteness was like the definition was expanded to like include Spanish people and Irish people and Jewish people eventually, kind of, sort of, not really, depends what you're talking to. So it's not even like it's been a consistent definition of what white even means. But that's what they're talking about. They're talking about people that just look like them, have their culture, and they go, that is the American culture, which is just inaccurate. The whole point of this country is for everybody to be able to be together and all have freedom. Jesus, and be treated equally under the law. My God, why is it difficult?
Right.
Going all the way back even before the founding,
right,
before the settlement of the North American continent, where we come from, right, who we really are, and putting that first, that's the priority.
England? We're going to put England first?
You could say the 20 years.
Anyway, that was kind of a whole weird little tangent. All right, now let's find something more fun. Like, I say fun, but I know it's hard to find fun stuff these days, given all the news that's going on right here. That Iran confirms killing of intelligence minister. Nope, don't want to talk about war. All right, just like holy shit, everything going on right now is just terrible. It's bad. It's all bad. Where are we at here? Let me see. What? The moral madness of atheism. Wait, didn't we start that? How long is that? I made it like 5 minutes through. I do not remember that. Did we do that? Do y'all remember if we covered that or not? America first is American exceptionalism. That too. Yeah. I mean, not only is it like the white people are good. Oh, let me do this one because I forgot about it. The white people are the ones that this country is really about. That's the first bullshit. The second bullshit is that America's the greatest country in the universe, dude. Well, I don't know. There could be other planets out there with countries that are less awesome than ours. So I'm going to go with Cosmos, because there could be other galaxies besides ours,
When Jesus died, did he go to hell? The answer is yes.
What?
The question is...
Oh, he said yes. Oh, my God. Oh, thank goodness. I've been wanting to know where the fuck this shit came from for the longest time. So I'm glad this guy's gonna spell it out for us.
Why?
That was my question too, was why would he do that though? Like, why is Jesus is just like, I just wanted to check the place out. It's not so often that I get to just be a human's soul that can get in. You got to be a human soul in order to get into hell. So I was kind of barred automatically, being a god and all. But once I became a human, loophole. That's right, for my own rules, I know, but still, it's a loophole. I just wanted to check the place out, maybe get some keys, right? I think I just wanted to be able to get in and out myself. I don't want to have to call somebody and be like, hey, can you guys let me in? I don't have to go through all that. So wanted to get my own hell keys, and then just make things a lot easier for everybody involved. Loving the music, though, gotta be honest.
The question about where was Jesus for those 3 days that he was in the grave.
Yeah, I don't know who asked those questions, but like what did start that conversation? Like, but hold on, where did Jesus go though during those 3 days? We need to. Well, what do you mean you hadn't thought about that? Well, we need to see this exactly the kind of stuff we need to think about when we're making up our religion. Okay, where did he go? Come on, we need to get this down on paper.
Is a question that doesn't really seem or doesn't need to have a lot of debate or confusion. It does, but I think the Bible actually clears this up and makes it pretty clear.
So to push, how are we doing? Push.
Jesus on his death, burial, and resurrection, the question is going to be, we know his body was in the grave, but where was he? Where was his soul? And you know what? Rather than speculating, we could just simply go to Jesus and find out the question.
Yeah, just ask him. You're like, hey, JC, where was your soul at when you were in the grave, bro?
Jesus tells us that, or at least tells his disciples, that he is going to be crucified, that he's going to suffer for man and be raised on the third day.
It's a zombie Jesus. It's my favorite Jesus. Yeah, that is a pretty good one right there. Yeah. I kind of want to get that tattooed,
And then when the Jews were asking for a sign, Jesus says that no sign will be given to you except the sign of Jonah, because you evil and adulterous generation seek after a sign. Well, I will give you a sign.
I mean, it's worse. I said it's like Lore Nerds talking about Zelda. I feel like it's even worse than that, because at least Zelda's cool. And there's a game that you can go play, to check on stuff, I guess, or validate your lore there.
And that will be just like as Jonah in verse 40 of Matthew 12. Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the sea monster. So will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. And notice how he frames this, in the heart of the earth.
Yep, that's it. Deviant, so where was Jesus those 3 days when he was in the grave. I think you just answered your own question there, dude. He was in the fucking grave.
And the word that's used there for earth, gaze, is the land, the ground. And so he is going to be, according to Jesus, if we take him literally, he is going to be in the ground, buried. The question, though, is he just speaking about his body, or what about his soul?
It's funny, too, because like talking about the Jonah thing, right? Because, you know, we always make that association. Oh, it's just about to make me big. I'm already big. We always make that association, right? That like, oh man, he was in the whale for 3 days, just like Jesus was in the earth for 3 days, right? But it's just funny because like, is that why we get the number for Jesus wrong? Because he was not in the grave 3 days. It was like a day and a half at best. It's just that it passes through 3 days, you know? It's kind of like half a day, full day, another half a day, and they're like, so that's 3 days, even though it's just a day and a half if you add up all the actual time. But I wonder if the reason they do that is because of the Jonah thing. They're like, see, there's even a connection in the back, because they always do that. They always try to find all these connections and shit that are not actually connected. It's just post hoc rationalizations. But I wonder if that's where we get the 3. Plus, you know, you got the Trinity and stuff, and they're just like, 3 is a magic number for God for some reason. I don't know why, but apparently it means stuff. But anyway, back to this guy.
When Jesus is being crucified between the two thieves, one thief turns and says to him, remember me when you come into my...
A lot of thieves up there, dude. You know, it's like mostly just have thieves. Every so often, you got a cult leader, but cult leaders and thieves, that's it.
Like into your kingdom. Jesus says in verse 43 of Luke chapter 12, Luke 23, he says, truly I say to you that today you shall be with me in paradise. So where is Jesus going to be that day? In paradise. The question is, where is paradise? Now, I do believe, as a matter of fact, we know for a fact that later on, paradise is going to be where? Is going to be in heaven. It's going to be up. How do we know? Because in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 2, Paul is saying that I know of a man in Christ for 14 years, whether in the body or not, I do not know. Such a man was caught up, he says, caught up into the third heaven. And I know how such a man, whether in the body or apart from the body, I do not know. God knows, was caught up into paradise. So at this point in time, paradise, when Paul...
Yeah, still can't believe people follow Copeland. It is absolutely amazes me that guy is a man. Yeah, I don't know where. I'm starting to think maybe he just pays people. You know, he just pays people to pretend like he is actually, in fact, their pastor. This is the only thing that makes sense. Like, who would want a demonic ventriloquist dummy as your pastor? That just doesn't track in any way, shape, or form. Yes, he looks exactly like a ventriloquist dummy. Have you seen that guy? Go pull up Slappy from the movie. What was that movie? Goosebumps, from the Goosebumps movie. Put it side by side with Kenneth Copeland. Tell me that's not just the action figure, the Kenneth Copeland action figure. Tell me that's not that. Okay, it is. That's what that is.
Speaking about it, is up in heaven. But at the time that Jesus dies, paradise is not. How do we know? Well, because remember when Jesus, after his resurrection, he is there speaking to Mary. And what does Mary do when she recognizes?
Stop asking questions, dude. Just tell us the thing, man. I hate it when they do this. And what does Mary do then? I don't know, but you're going to tell us. Well, I'll tell you. I knew it. I knew you were going to tell.
That is Jesus. She grabs hold of him. And Jesus says, stop clinging to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father.
He hasn't yet ascended to the Father, which it obviously means he was in hell a second ago.
So if Jesus makes a statement that today you'll be with me in paradise, and if paradise is in heaven, then that statement that Jesus makes is incorrect, because
and so he can't. I love how they think, dude. Listen to that. He's like, it can't be that it's incorrect because Jesus can't say incorrect things. That is their like baseline for like how they figure shit out. So like if Jesus said something, like we have to figure out how this definitely has to be true because Jesus said it. And we've previously decided that Jesus can't be wrong about anything. So we have to fucking contort this shit into pretzels so that we can figure out that he's actually right, even though he's wrong.
He says he has not yet ascended to his Father. As a matter of fact, he says, go and tell my brethren that I ascend to my Father, which he does in Acts chapter 1 before he gives them their final instructions to go and be witnesses of his. Then he ascends into heaven. So it should be clear that he had not ascended.
Right, because he ascended later. Remember, you just read it. He ascended into heaven later. So what does this have to do with?
Well, then where was he? Well,
on earth. He was still on earth. He just hugged the woman, the Mary. So
an answer to the question might be found in Luke chapter 16.
Then what the fuck was all that for? Like, wait, you read that just to be like, so where was he? Well, let's look at another verse. What the fuck are you talking? He was on earth. He just raised from the dead or whatever in the story, right?
Speaking about Lazarus and the rich man, look in verse 22 of verse 16. Now the poor man died and was carried away into Abraham's bosom, and the rich man also died and was buried. In Hades, he lifted up his eyes and being in torment saw Abraham far away and Lazarus in his bosom. And so in Hades,
stop saying bosoms. Okay. It just gives me a very different visual, just a whole bunch of people just stuffed in cleavage, it's just some giant going like this. It's Abraham, but with like tits going, pushing them together. And everybody's just like hanging out in Abraham's cleavage.
The rich man could look and see Lazarus, though he's been tormented, that he can look and see Lazarus being comforted. And he says, have mercy on me and send Lazarus so that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool off my tongue.
Everybody in Abraham's bosoms was just like, do we have to go? It's like squished up against a boob. This is actually great. I don't know why I like this so much. It's jiggly and warm. I just want to lick it,
What he says though, Abraham says, remember all the good that you've done, the bad that you've done, and so forth. But now I want you to point your attention to verse 26. He says, and besides all this between us and you, there is a great chasm fixed so that those who wish to come over cannot. So they seem to be in a close proximity and location, but there is a chasm. There is this abode of the dead who are on their way to hell or on their way eventually to the lake of fire, and those who are in the boat of the dead who are going to eventually make their way to heaven.
So wait a second. So does this guy think that that was actually describing the way that heaven and hell actually operate? So he actually thinks that people can see into heaven from hell and vice versa, that you can see people being tortured in heaven. And you're like, boy, this place is great. I am so glad that I'm not having my skin torn off by hooks that are coming out. These weird looking creatures are all just pulling people's skin off over there. I am feeling nothing but bliss, and I can't even think a negative thought, even though people are being tortured right across the chasm from me.
Again, paradise at this moment is going to be in the ground. It will not be translated or transferred to heaven until later. When?
What? Paradise is in the ground? Is that what he just said?
Heaven. Again, paradise at this moment is going to be in the ground.
In the ground? You say paradise is in the ground? Is he saying he's saying that because of the Abraham story? Is that what we're doing? It's like, so Abraham's bosom, actually, the giant tits of Abraham was God placed it right next to hell. And then he figured out later, he's like, well, that's kind of weird. They're going to have to look at all the people being tortured. I'm going to have to put that somewhere else later.
It will not be translated or transferred to heaven until later. When? Well, keep this also in mind. Nobody who has died, who is in God, who is in the Lord, has died and gone to heaven. No one has ascended. Jesus is having a conversation with Nicodemus, and he says,
what? Oh man, I wonder if this dude's another soul sleeper. I wonder if he's a soul sleepy. sleepist, a soul sleepiest. I don't know what you call, but that's just like the that weird messenger of truth kid. He does this whole thing where he's like, oh no, you don't go to hell, you just get destroyed, or whatever, right? And then there is no heaven and hell now. You just go to sleep until after the judgment, and then you wake up when the day of judgment happens, way in the future, and then you get placed in either heaven or hell that will be created before, like prior to then, but has not been created yet.
No one has ascended into heaven, but he who has descended from heaven. So at this point in time where Jesus is talking, no one.
Bourbon heaven. Bourbon heaven. That sounds like actually a pretty good brand. Come get some bourbon heaven. That's right. Made right here in Tennessee, where the best bourbon is created. Kentucky can fuck itself. Anyway, don't Kentucky do bourbon as well? I can't remember. Anyway, no, the Bourbon River makes heaven appealing. I could see that. Yeah, just go swimming in that. Although I would like to keep my bourbon ball sweat free. You know, people are in there just swimming around. A lot of ball sweat. All right. Maybe even some butt sweat too. I don't know. I don't want to think that far into this.
Has ascended. Well, wait a minute, Corey. I seem to recall Enoch and I seem to recall Elijah being brought up into heaven, taken up.
I seem to recall some people just being caught up, as it were, if you will, per se, into the heaven within their flesh. So what about that?
No, the word for heaven is also the word for skies. So where was Elijah brought up to? He was
just brought up to the skies. Yeah. And then after that, he was like, okay, here's the skies. Anyway, and he gets distracted. He's like, ah! That was him splatting. I did a splat sound of it. That's what that. I know it sounds remarkably like fingering someone. Anyway.
Taken up into the sky. Also for Enoch, it just says that he no longer was. It never says that he was taken into heaven. We know this to be the case because Elijah, as well as Moses, as well as Samuel, are the only three people that we know of. So it apparently can happen where someone who is in the boat of the dead can come back. We've seen that happen before, but after Jesus' death, burial, resurrection, and then subsequent ascension, we never see this happening again. Now, notice a couple of passages that we're going to.
What the fuck was any of that? I'm so confused. Wait, what? You saying it? Hold on. I got to go back. I'm sorry.
As well as Moses, as well as Samuel.
You're saying like they didn't get taken up into heaven because the word actually meant sky? Like God just brought them up into the sky randomly for no reason. And then put them back afterwards, I guess. I don't know. But that's why they weren't caught up in the heaven. And then I have no idea what the hell the rest of it was.
The only three people that we know of. So it apparently can happen where someone who is in the boat of the dead can come back. We've seen that happen before, but after Jesus' death, burial, resurrection, and then subsequent ascension, we never see this happening again. Now, notice a couple of passages that we're going to read from.
Yeah, I'm lost. I got nothing. I think it's saying that it doesn't happen after Jesus, and that's it. Like all those people are taken up before Jesus had died for their sins or whatever.
Ephesians as well as in Romans. In Ephesians 4:8, it says, therefore it says, when he, that's Jesus, ascended on high, he led captive a host of captives and he gave gifts to me.
He led captive a host of captives. Redundant, guys. Can you tighten this up a little bit? I feel like a third grade writing teacher would be like, can you do something about this? Come on.
And now this expression, he ascended, what does it mean? Except he also had descended into the lower parts of the earth.
Oh, okay. Now we're getting somewhere, right? I like how he puts in his own little like quotate or whatever it is, like little brackets here. Now this expression, he ascended, in quotations, what does it mean except that he also had, to the second power, descended into the, to the B power, lower parts of the earth? Why, dude? Like, why do y'all do this, man? It's like they just they needle at this most specific shit, and then like they just like overemphasize like little things like this. Like, oh well, if he ascended, then he had to have descended prior, because you have to have, you can't ascend from zero. Okay, you can only ascend from below zero. You have to be in the negatives in order to ascend back up to the zero level in order to ascend higher. And I mean, it wouldn't be ascending at that point. It would just be going to heaven. Like, how is it not ascending, dude? Like, why do you need to go to hell in order to ascend? That is the weirdest fucking assumption ever.
The ground, gaze, the Greek word for ground or earth. He who descended is himself also he who ascended far above the heavens.
He who descended is himself also he who ascended far above all the heaven. God, they talk so weird.
So that he might feel all things. And we're going to see what
so they might feel all. Is that really what he's saying? So they might feel all things? What? What do you mean? Like, we need to see what feet like. Never mind. I'm not going to go into that.
Ground or earth. He who descended is himself also he who ascended far above the heavens, so that he
might fill all things. I'm sorry. I didn't. I thought he was saying feel. Not that Phil makes it that much better. What the fuck? What do you mean?
Might feel all.
And if you want to fill all things with your penis, just go. If you know, if you got one of those, that is. But you could also fill it with dildo if you got a dildo. Just go to. Just punch in astralpride.com/promo/punk to get a buck off sticker versions of the Pride space flags. That's right. Yeah, I know that Pride flags are not the same thing. I'm still working on changing my segues over to flag related segues. I just, not a whole lot of flag related conversations that are going on anyway. But go to astralpride.com/promo/punk and get a buck off of the sticker versions of the flags. But buy like all the flags too. They're super cool. They're space. They're pictures of space where the colors exist from the pride flags, and then they are taken from those pictures and turned into flags. It's fucking awesome. Definitely check it out. Definitely go get some flags. And big thanks to Better Than Ember, to Ember, who does the channel Better Than Ember, for including me in the promo. Really appreciate it. Oh yeah. But all right, cool.
All things. And we're going to see what fulfilling all things is. And so according to this text, he also descended, that is before he ascended.
I know a guy that did the filling of all things. He got arrested really quickly. Can't be doing that, okay? Especially when you work on a farm, some of that stuff doesn't need to be filled. All right.
When he ascended, what did he do? All the people who were in the abode of the dead, who were slated, who were in Christ or in the Lord, who had faith in God, would also be ascended up or taken up with God. Before I give you more proof to that, let's also read Romans chapter 10, verse 6. He says, but the righteousness based on faith speaks as follows. Do not say in your heart who will ascend into heaven, that is to bring Christ down, who will descend into the abyss, that is to bring Christ up from the dead. In other words, so Christ at his death was where? In the abyss, in the abode of the dead.
Stop asking where, okay? Stop asking questions. I swear to God, just say the shit. Where was he ascended to? Where was this? And then he went here. Well, where is that? Didn't fucking just say the shit, man. I hate that. I don't know why. That's such a pet peeve of mine. It's like I can't stand it when like atheist creators do that too. You know, it just drives me crazy. It's like, and so what? It's like the laws of logic. Well, what are the laws of logic? Well, I'm glad you asked because I'm going to tell you the laws of logic. I'm like, oh my God, seriously, stop.
And then is there someone that's going to bring them up? No, we don't need anyone. But the point is, though, that this makes mention that Christ was in the abyss or in the ground, in the or with the dead. The question is, why was this so?
That's the question I was actually going to.
Well, Jesus is called the firstborn of the dead, and the first fruit.
He's called the firstborn of the dead. That seems like an odd. That sounds like a metal album name, you know, the firstborn of the dead. Get our album today, you know. Dr. Kip's out there on the cut, just spinning his hair. That's, you know, on the music video for the firstborn of the dead. Dr. Kip spinning his head. That's right. You know, just standing in the back. He's the hype man for the band, right? Because they all got biblical. They got all biblical themed music videos. It's Dr. Kip just back there, just giving himself whiplash constantly, day in, day out whiplash. Just lives and breathes heat then ice, then heat, then ice. Just over and over again. I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's called like rice or something like that. Anyway,
of the dead. Why is that? We're going to talk about why it was necessary for Jesus to die, why it was necessary for him to be dead and to raise, and then to be raised from the dead, and then.
So we're going to talk about first, you know, why it was necessary for Jesus to die. Then we're going to talk about why it was necessary for Jesus, having been dead, to be dead. Then we're going to discuss what the fuck is happening.
Into ascend, but
what is happening?
Why is that?
What's going on? What is happening? What's going on? Is that the goal now?
That we're going to talk about why it was necessary for Jesus to die, why it was necessary for him to be dead.
Why it was necessary for him to be dead? Well, he died. That's why it would be. If he did in fact die, it would necessarily be the case that he would also have to reasonably be evaluated as dead.
And to raise, and then to be raised from the dead, and then to ascend. But I want you to notice these passages, 1 Corinthians 15 and
dead and to ascend. Dead and then to ascend. Sounds like some Eminem lyrics or something, just say.
Revelation. He says, but now Christ has been raised from the dead, the first fruits of those who are asleep. He's been raised from the dead, so he's the first.
What, man? Now Christ has been raised from the dead, the first fruits of those who are asleep. Did somebody get hit in the head before they finished that sentence? What? The first fruits of like somebody having a stroke? What the fuck happened there?
Fruit of those also who were dead. Revelation 1:5 says, Jesus Christ, the faithful witness, the firstborn of the dead and the rule of the king. So what does it mean to be the first fruit or the firstborn?
I'm sure you're going to tell us.
He's the first to be raised from the dead and then to ascend. And so when he's raised from the dead.
Is that a naked pig with a calculator going by? What the fuck? Get out of here. Get out of here, man. What's your naked ass? Just covering his junk with the calculator. I think he's into math or something. Probably some kind of a math pig. That's what I'd imagine. Anyway, doing the calculator stuff. You know. Anyway, naked calculator stuff, which is really the only way I do calculator stuff, to be honest.
He ascends and leads that captive host on high. He leads the abode of the dead to heaven. No one is going to precede him to the Father. Remember, his job is to come and to make reconciliation.
And if your job is to come, well, then you probably need a flag that you can come on. So just punch in astralpride.com/promo/punk and get $1 off the sticker versions of the Pride Space flags. How was that, Ember? Was that a better? Was that a better segue? How was that? I feel like I'm getting there. We're going to figure it out. We're going to figure this out together.
That's the whole point of the atonement, to cover, to cancel, and then the result of that would be to reconcile them to the Father. That's not going to happen unless Jesus is the one who dies, pays the debt, and then ascends and leads. He's the example, and we follow him. Those who are dead, who are in Christ, whether they be Old Testament saints or now, your ascension is based upon Jesus's ascension. That's why we can see that he has not yet.
No throwing stuff. Okay. No throwing stuff, and especially not the only thing covering you. Oh my God. That is actually quite large for such a small pig, right? That is just dangling down. I don't even know how all that hid behind the calculator there. It is just, wow. It is just bouncing all over the jiggling. That's not even a good word, I don't even think. It's beyond jiggling, it's sort of just everywhere,
ascended, but he's going to ascend in a few days. But at that point in time, he's not yet ascended. But what he did do was he descended. Now, one of the other interesting things that we talk about is, what was he doing while he was down there in the?
What was he doing while he was down there? What was he doing?
In the boat of the dead. Well,
in the butt of the dead. What was he doing? Wait, what?
You get some light, not too much, as to what he was doing, and that is in First.
Well, it's, when you're down in hell, there's not a whole lot of sunlight.
Peter 3:19, in which he also, that's Jesus, went and made proclamation to the spirits now in prison, who were once disobedient when the patience of God kept waiting in the days of Noah during the construction of the ark, in which a few, that is 8 persons, were brought safely through the water.
What? Hold on. Fucking what? The proclamation to the spirits now in prison, who once were disobedient when the patience of God kept waiting in the days of Noah during the construction of the ark. This all makes really good sense, actually. I feel like I am definitely more intelligent now having heard this.
Once disobedient when the patience of God kept waiting in the days of Noah during the construction of the ark.
During the construction of the ark. Okay.
In which a few, that is 8 persons, were brought safely through.
Few does not equal 8. That's incorrect. Okay. You're going to need just to put the word some. Some people, that is 8. Okay. Few is like 3 or fewer, right? Isn't that
the water? So now, what's he saying? What exactly is he speaking to them? What is he saying to them? But we don't know. But he says that he went and spoke to those who were in the prison. This proclamation he made to those spirits that are in prison. Why? We don't have a full description, or we're not.
If you call that being blessed, so that's fine, Math Pig. It seems more of a walking hazard, if you ask me. I mean, I don't know how you don't have that thing getting caught up in the spokes of your bike. If you were riding a bike, just saying. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, back to no more ball talk. All right, let's keep it clean, folks.
Not told exactly why. We're just told that he did. So Jesus, on his death, though his body was in the grave, his soul would not be left there. As a matter of fact, we are told by the scriptures that he will not leave his soul in Hades in Acts 2:27 and 31, because you will not abandon my soul in Hades. Now, this is his soul. Is it speaking of his body or his soul? I think we could take it to mean probably both.
It was probably both. That's what I was thinking too. That's what I would logically
nor
deduce, given the data set that we've got. Oh my God.
Or because it says, nor allow your Holy One to see decay. So I think he's speaking of his soul as well as his physical body. His soul will not be left to Hades, nor his body to the ground. And he looked.
I was going to say, I don't even know how Math Pig is up this early after yesterday, dude. Usually, it's the Irish tradition to sleep all the next day after St. Patrick's Day for obvious reasons. I would say they're hungover.
And spoke of the resurrection. Let's make this a little bit bigger. In verse 31, he says, and he looked and behold, and spoke of the resurrection of Christ, that he would neither abandon was neither abandoned to Hades, nor did his flesh suffer decay. So he's speaking of two things.
So it said abandoned to Hades. Well, you can't abandon stuff to Hades unless you were there. Boom, found it in the Bible. We're done here. That's right. Hell yeah. Jesus, speaking of hell yeah, Jesus was in hell. Yeah, I said it. But just to get the keys, he needed, remember, he said it's just, he needed those keys. So he just had to be down there for like a day and a half, not 3 days, and get the keys so that something that makes sense.
His soul in Hades, or his flesh also suffering decay. So it seems apparent that his soul was also in Hades.
Oh, it's both. It was both his body and his soul were in Hades. I thought, though, is he trying to say that the body disappeared from the tomb, and then from the tomb went down to Hades, soul and fucked up body that just got crucified, got the keys from the devil, and then headed back, and then that's when he showed up on Earth as a different person, seeing as how nobody even fucking recognized him, which I think is a major problem that nobody ever seems to discuss. How do people not recognize him? You know, I mean, I get that they're like, I think I think that person's dead because I saw him die, so it couldn't be them. But like, once you see them, you can recognize them, right? That doesn't mean that you can't recognize what they look like just because you assume that they died. Anyway.
Doing what? Well, at least one thing we know was preaching to those spirits that were in prison. But then there's something that's required for Jesus to do.
That's how he said, a Jewish rabbi in Greek hell. Quite the mythological crossover. That's right. Yeah, it's like one of those episodes of Cheers, you know, or not Cheers, Frasier, where they also had Cheers characters. That's not a good example. Remember in Friends? Here we go. Remember in Friends when Rachel and Monica went on the date with the two doctors? Remember that? And it was the two doctors from the hospital show, and it had Seth Gecko. What's Seth Gecko's name? From this? Frank Oceans. He's also known as Seth Gecko, Frank Ocean. That guy. Anyway, Seth Gecko is definitely his best role, just ever. It's just one of the best roles ever, but it's that kind of crossover. Why was I going off on that? Well, what do you mean? Well, you stop me when I start going off like that, dude. Like, what are you even here for? You're supposed to keep me on track.
Jesus is our high priest. Jesus is also our atonement. He is the propitiation. He's the one that pays the debt for us.
Actually, given what we're reacting to, just go ahead and let me go off track. You know, I feel like anything could be better than what we're doing here.
He's the sacrificial offering. He's also the one who bears our sins. Well, where do we get this from? God does not change. I think we all would agree with that.
Yeah, unless you actually read the fucking book, dude. And then you'd be like, holy shit, does this God change a lot? It's almost like from Old Testament to New, that these two aren't even the same goddamn gods.
All he's done is given us better elements of.
What's up, Brian? How you doing?
Of the atonement. And so under the old covenant atonement, there needed to be someone to bear the sins of all the people, all the sins.
This is bear. Bear. I thought bear would be more like this. Bear.
Of all the people, better elements of the atonement. And so under the old covenant atonement, there needed to be someone to bear the sins of all the people, all the sins of all the people. And there needed to be something or someone to pay this debt, which would be blood, and then someone to mediate.
Which would be blood and guts and stuff. Anyway, you gotta pay debts with blood, because remember, we're in a blood cult. That's why. So, you know, this is normal stuff.
Like intercession. So who would that be? Well, in the old covenant, it would be an animal and a high priest. In the new, Jesus will play the part of all three. But let's go.
Hey, what's up, Burns? How we doing? Oh, thank you. That's right. Oh, that's right. You have the other name, right? I forget. I always forget whose names are what other names.
To the Old Covenant, the Old Testament.
I haven't heard enough time keeping quick track of the genders of all y'all, let alone your sock accounts. Okay, God damn it.
Let's go to Leviticus and let's see what it says. In Leviticus 16:15, it says, "Then he that is the high priest, he shall slaughter the goat of the sin offering, which is for the people, and bring its blood inside the veil, and do with its blood as he did with the blood of the bull and goat, and sprinkle on the mercy seat in front of the mercy seat."
Weird how much they play with blood back then, dude. Like, what is it? What is everybody's obsession? They're sprinkling it and shit now, man. This is, first of all, it's not sanitary, dude. What kind of shit are you picking up doing these sort of rituals? Second of all, what the fuck is going on here? I'm totally lost. I think it's safe to say that I think he's kind of pulling, he's what do you call it? Pulling at straws or whatever, pulling strings. He's stretching. He's stretching quite a bit to try to get Jesus to have had gone to hell while he was crucified for that day and a half. But boy, he's trying though,
So there must be this shedding of blood to pay the debt. And then also look at verse 20. When he finishes atoning for the holy place and
you just click
the tent of meetings and the altar, he shall offer the live.
grasping at straw. Thank you. That's what did I say? That is definitely stretching at straws. The straw stretching you get if you're trying to catch, you catch the straws out of the. Well, how do you say it?
Goat. Then Aaron shall lay both of his hands on the head of the live goat, confess over it all the iniquities of the sons of Israel and all their transgressions in regard to all their sins, and he shall lay them on the head of the goat and sin. Look what he says. This part is important. And send it, the one who's bearing the sin, send it away into the wilderness by the hand of the man who stays at the readiness.
Stays in readiness. You can't be at readiness, dude. What is readiness, a fucking place? No. It's something that you can be in, like a butt.
The goat shall bear on itself all the iniquities to a solitary land, to a place far away. That's important. And he shall release the goat in the wilderness.
Not someplace close up. Someplace close by. We're not talking around the corner, okay? We're talking far away, right? This is very important stuff here.
Why are those two things important? Well,
why are the... Well, I'll tell you.
One, we know that Jesus is the Lamb who takes away sins, who bears sins, because we're told that.
Hey, Bree's here. What's up, Bree? How we doing?
In John 1, all throughout the New Testament, we find out that Jesus is exactly the one who bears all of the sins. Well, in this text, under the old covenant, what would happen is the one who bears the sin would be sent into a land far away, bearing the sins. Where did Jesus go? Somewhere to bear the sin.
Wait, when? Wait, in the old covenant, you had to leave and go far away? I don't remember that part. I thought you just had to, kill a goat or whatever. Or I guess it would be a lamb, a spotless lamb. You would have to kill a lamb and then light it on fire on a pile of rocks, which, of course, obviously, that's just a natural thing that most people would probably end up doing anyway, at some point during the day. But because that's what God wanted you to do whenever you do stuff that's wrong. Yeah.
Ends to a place far away. What better place to take all of our sins than hell? And so Jesus is going to make a statement.
Oh, I see. So his argument, that's basically somebody had to put the sin somewhere, okay? And it couldn't, Jesus couldn't do like the Superman thing and just throw them into outer space, okay? They had to go somewhere. So Jesus, piled all the sins up into a big Santa bag, and then went down to hell and left it there, got the keys, then handed back. It makes good sense. You have to put the sin somewhere.
The Bible's going to make a statement about death. Where is your sting? Where is your victory? Well, he was defeated. Now, stay there with me for a second, because I want you also to remember that he's also the one that's going to pay the debt. His blood rather than the blood of bulls and goats. But also there's something else important. The high priest plays a part in this as well. Jesus becomes our great high priest. And so going back to Leviticus 16:32, so the priest who was anointed and ordained to serve as priest in his father's place shall make atonement. He shall thus put on the linen garments. The whole.
We've only been doing 14 minutes of this. This feels like we've been watching this for 7 hours, 7.5 hours or so. Holy shit, man. It's only been 14 minutes of this. My God.
Holy garments and make atonement for the holy.
It's right. Like, the fuck is happening?
The sanctuary. He shall make atonement for the tent of meeting and for the altar. He shall also make atonement for the priest, for all the people of the assembly. Now you shall have this as a permanent statute to make atonement for the sons of Israel for all their sins once every year. Now, this won't be an every year deal, but I want you to notice what's happening with the priest. When the priest goes into the most holy place,
the Holy of Holies, yeah,
to make atonement,
he has to go behind that really thick curtain that Jesus ripped through on his way out. I always assumed that maybe when Jesus' soul left his crucified body, he accidentally went through the Holy of Holies without realizing it, ripped right through that sucker. And oh, shit. Oh, no. Well, they're probably going to add a whole nother thing to the theology because of me accidentally doing. Fuck. Okay. Well.
And the presence of the Lord shows up. How do we know that the offering was taken or the offering was accepted? If you're going to place your faith in it, you have to place your.
That's what you're asking. How we know what we think we. Well, how do we know? I know, right? How do we know if the sacrifice was actually accepted? No, that was not what I was going to ask. I was saying, how do you know any of this shit is true at all? You're very specific about the things that you end up questioning.
Your faith in something that is having some sort that's effective or effectual. That is the Lord actually. That is God actually accepting the offering. How do we know? The same way we know that what Jesus did worked. He was alive.
What? Well, same way that we know
that is God actually accepting the offering. How do we know? The same way we know that what Jesus did worked. He was alive. He got up. So Jesus's death would be the blood being.
Same way we know that Jesus' thing worked because he's alive and not still dead.
Being shed and bearing the sin would be the scapegoat bearing the sin, taking the sin to a faraway land. And the high priest, being Jesus, would be the one who would make mediation or intercession between man and God, because he's God and man. So he can intercede on behalf of God, because he's God. He can intercede on behalf of man or make mediation on behalf of man, because he is man also. And the mere fact that the high priest, that's Jesus.
Holy shit, dude. Like, how do you say all this stuff and not immediately go, am I fucking insane? Is my brain totally like broken right now? How am I saying this stuff? And I'm saying it like it's not completely batshit insane. One more time, listen to this.
And the high priest, being Jesus, would be the one who would make mediation or intercession between man and God, because he's God and man. So he can intercede on behalf of God.
He can intercede on behalf of God
because he's God.
Because he is God.
He can intercede on behalf of man or
man. He can intercede on behalf of man too.
Make mediation
on
behalf of man, because he is man also.
He's also a man. He is, man. He's a man God. God, man, God.
And the mere fact that the high priest, that's Jesus, would be alive indicates that God accepted it. So just as we see then,
just the mere fact that God is alive means that the sacrifice been accepted. I mean, hell yeah, like obviously, like how could he possibly accept it if he's dead? So you can't. That's how you know it's accepted, because God is still alive. There, boom, nailed it. Oh my God. How does everybody not see these obvious facts when they read these words on the page? Holy shit.
if the high priest was alive, then the offering was accepted. If Jesus shows up alive,
the high priest is alive, then that means they were accepted. Because if it wasn't accepted, they die? Is that what happened?
alive is resurrected, then the offering was accepted. Now, there's one last thing that maybe you didn't quite catch.
No, I think there's a lot that we didn't catch, but I don't think it matters, because all this is insanity.
When he's speaking to the high priest, notice what he says in verse 32 again. The priest who was anointed and ordained to serve as high priest in his father's place shall make atonement. He shall thus put on the linen garments, the holy garments. So now, what
not the linen garments? Those are not for that.
Will the high priest look like afterwards? Will his clothes be covered in blood and stained afterwards? No, he's going to have holy garments on, new clothes, clean clothes.
He's going to go to Old Navy. I'm sorry, New Navy. You probably have a New Navy in heaven clothes stores, right?
Let's go back to the New Testament. Notice what he says here in John 20:6-7, as well as Matthew. John 20:6. So Simon Peter also came down following and entered the tomb.
Why do you guys do so much thinking about this, man? Like, this is so much thinking about nothing. This is just so much thought poured into just complete and utter nonsense. It reminds me of like the people that will sit there and walk you through all of the Pizzagate-esque like conspiracy type shit. When you're like, wow, you thought that much about that? It's like that brain power would have been better served researching Star Wars lore or something like that. Holy shit.
And what did they see? They saw linen wrappings lying there, and the face cloth, which had been on his head, not lying with the linen wrappings, but rolled up in a place by itself. So the clothes that Jesus was buried in.
Like, and the head one was in a different spot, because Jesus undid his face first. He went face first, and he unwrapped that, and he's like, let me go. I'm actually going to go put this over. Here we go. Hold on one second. I got to go put this down. I'm going to put it down in the corner. There we go. Okay. Got to keep it separate. I don't know why, but let me get the rest of this stuff on. And then you just put the rest in a pile right there.
And there would still be blood coming out and leaking onto those clothes. Those clothes are going to be still there. Jesus is not wearing those clothes. The high priest would be wearing something different. Oh. And so if we go to Matthew 28:3, notice what he said.
I didn't even think that the clothes would come into it, but they would have to figure out based on the fashion choices of Jesus Christ in order to figure out whether or not he went to hell.
It's here in Matthew 28:3, and his appearance was like lightning, and his clothing was as white as snow. So the high priest now has new clothing. What does that symbolize? That the offering was accepted, and here he is in his new holy garments.
New clothes, man. Looking fly, as Nikki would say, looking fucking fly, bro.
Jesus is doing exactly what was done on.
He's doing one of these, he does like that. That's like, shows how cool, when you, I think it's a Jay-Z reference or something. I'm not really sure.
The old, playing all parts as the scapegoats to bear all the sin to a land far away, hell, and to also shed his blood.
Hell, that is a land, and it's pretty far. Okay, so that's what that is.
And the offering is accepted, and he puts on his new clothing. In this case, is white clothing as white as snow. So
in this case, it's his white outfit. But yeah, you can get some other outfits for him though, and switch them out if
Jesus can now make this.
If you want to make that your character, if Jesus is fighting himself, well, then the other Jesus will have different colors, because that's what happens when you both choose the same character in a one-on-one fighting game.
Let's go back to John 13. Remember what he said, that no one has ascended. No one has ascended into heaven. However, someone will ascend into heaven in just a little bit. So when he makes a statement to me,
this is just still going on. I'm this is fascinating the way this guy just does this. Holy shit. It says that nobody was caught up in heaven. So keep in mind, he's saying that like discredits all of the other stories or whatever where people were automatically caught up in heaven. And so it's like, and then he had like a whole thing of like why Elisha or whatever didn't actually get caught up into heaven. He just got caught up into the sky and then fell to his death, I guess. But that and now he's trying. God, the way that they can just twist their brain into pretzels for this shit.
Mary, stop clinging to me. I have not yet ascended. He is going to ascend. And where he's going to ascend, he's also going to lead a host of people, a host of captives up high on with him, such as those people who are dead, who are in the grave, but who have had faith in God. And so where did Jesus go for those 3 days? He went to hell.
Okay, then that's wow, that was one hell of a syllogism with the conclusion Jesus went to hell as the conclusion there.
Why? To do exactly what was required for the atonement. And he presented himself as his offering being accepted, and now as this great high priest with his holy garments on. And now he's going to lead anyone and everyone who's ever placed their faith in Christ to be reconciled. And so now when we get to 2 Corinthians, paradise is now in heaven. Paradise is in a different place. You will not be brought before the Lord.
Oh my God. How do people not listen to this and immediately be like, so God's made up, huh? Like this sounds like people just making shit up, man. Right? Yeah. I've been believing made up shit this whole time. Listen to this guy just think you can just make stuff up and just find all these random connections, and because of a couple of verses it discredits entire stories of the Bible, and then you can't ascend into heaven if you didn't previously descend into hell. We know that that's physically impossible if you don't have. Holy shit, just so much of everything he said here was completely unhinged. Jesus, unbelievable. But if you are not unhinged, yeah, there you go. That's what I'm saying. And you want some flags to brighten up your living space, maybe out front your house, punch in astralpride.com/promo/punk to get a buck off sticker versions of the Pride Space flags. Again, these are pictures of space that were that had the colors of pride flags, and they were all kind of like they took the pictures from space and made those pictures into pride flags because of the colors being the same. It's incredible. I love it. I actually have I have a pride flag on the way, and I hate to say it, but I think it's probably going to take the place of my Antifa flag I got going on over here. Right? Yeah, I had it right. Or maybe I could figure out a way to do both. Maybe do side by side. Not really sure how I'm going to do it yet. But definitely going to have that flag up in the background as soon as I receive it. So it's going to be pretty great. If you want, you can pound that like button. I'd appreciate it. Hey, can you not have such an explicit image there, man? Can you maybe lighten that up? Okay, come on, man. Can you? I mean, the image is better, but now it says fuck. Whatever, dude. Okay. There you go. Much better. Yeah, that'll work for now. Although it should be a hand, right? You don't smack with a fist. Okay, finger. Sure. All right. Every time it gets weirder, dude. With every fix, it gets weirder. I don't know why you're doing this to me. Anyway, if you like pornography, just go to the internet, and then you can get that. See, unless you're in Florida, of course, it's not allowed. You're not allowed to have that stuff here. You have to put your face and your ID into a database where I'm sure they save that information and call everybody's mothers and tell them about it. That's right. It's the Florida way. Anyway, but thanks y'all for hanging out. This was a lot of fun. I will not be back for a while. I don't know. We'll see. Probably Sunday though, if I'm being honest here, because I got a lot of stuff we're going to be doing for the rest of the vacation. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But seriously, thank y'all so much for hanging out. And I'm just kidding. That was a joke. I don't even know if anybody could hear it. Could anybody even hear the? How about that time? Did it work? Did they think I got you? Anyway, all right. Thanks y'all for hanging out. Y'all are the best. And hey, y'all know the drill here. The main thing is to stay logical, stay loving, skeptical, and compassionate. And we will see you next time. Oh yeah, here's all the ways to support the show. Woo! Love it.
Are you about to engage in blasphemy?
Screwing off and playing round, making fun of funny clowns, oozing with contempt and hate. The goofball atheist podcast, apostate, apostate, apostate. We rage against machines of hate. Apostate, apostate. We community advocates. We community advocates.
He's like dancing there. The angry one.
Are you about to engage in blasphemy?